Chapter 346. Three people were definitely not enough. They needed at least Mahong Jun and Oscar. Oscar needed someone to protect him. Otherwise, if the opponent flew over, it would be easy to attack him. Tang Xin thought for a while and felt that it was indeed very tricky. 911 doesn't seem to have the ability to fly. He can fly, but in that situation, it's not easy to attack. Oscar said simply, "After all, stepping on 2 to 3 meters long sticks will greatly reduce his agility, and the opponent may fly higher." In other words, if he can't attack the opponent, he can only take the beating and finally admit defeat. That's right. Oscar's thoughts were what most people thought. It was also the most likely situation. As long as the people from the Godwind Academy didn't land on the ground and fight with 911, the odds of winning were very low. 911's chances of winning were very low. It was almost certain that they would lose. However, I heard that the captain of the Godwind Academy, Feng Xiaotian, is quite arrogant. He hasn't used his flying ability until now. It's very likely that he will choose to fight with 911. At this time, Dai Mubai said from the side, "If that's the case, then 911 will definitely win," Tang San said decisively. This was the third elemental academy that 911 had encountered. Most of the previous academies that 911 had encountered either admitted defeat or were defeated in a short time. It could be said that other than the Blazing Academy, even the Elephant Armor sect didn't pose any obstacles to 911. Until now, they had encountered the Godwind Academy. The surrounding audience had already begun to cheer excitedly. In the lounge, Wang Feng put on a black robe and a mask. He led the 6 people from the Purple Star College out of the lounge and planned to enter the arena. But halfway through, they encountered the Blazing Academy. The leader was Huo Wushuang. 911. At this time, Huo Wu, who was behind Huo Wushuang, seemed to have a faint flame in her eyes. "So far, our Blazing Academy has lost 2 matches, one to Shrek. Although Tang San is very troublesome and annoying, his martial soul is fire immunity and he is very strong. We are not convinced, but we have to accept it. We lost the other match to you." At this point, the flames of fury in Fire Dance's eyes seemed to burn even more fiercely. This loss was very humiliating, because if the battle team even thought about it a little, they would think about it. 9-1 Kai had the ability to defeat them from the start, but it was as if he was toying with them. He stood in place and even gave them a chance to attack. Then defeat them. "I hope you can win today's match." At this time, Fire Dance's tone changed, and she calmed down. Otherwise, it won't be interesting during the rank advancement competition. In the promotion round, individuals would take turns to fight. Although it was still 1 against 7, it would be 7 consecutive battles. A soul cultivator simply couldn't afford to consume so much energy. At that time, if Purple Star College wanted to win, the rest of the team members would not need to fight. Gio, you would have to take turns fighting the rest of the team members, as well as the substitutes. He could be exhausted to death. Wang Feng did not answer. He led the 6 of them into the tunnel. "He can't win this match." Huo Wushuang shook her head and said, "It's not like you don't know Feng Xiaotian. Although he is more arrogant. Last time 9-1 Kai humiliated our Blazing Academy so much that you couldn't even use Fire Dance of the Brilliant Sun. With Feng Xiaotian's temper, he will definitely defeat 9-1 Kai at all costs. This time, he won't act rashly. As long as he follows his team members and suppresses 9-1 Kai, then the possibility of Feng Xiaotian's team losing is almost 0. Fire Dance didn't say anything. She just walked to the spectator stand and watched. On the stage, Wang Feng also saw the 7 members of the Godwind Academy. Because he had seen them before, there was nothing to be surprised about. He knew Feng Xiaotian's martial soul and rank. Wang Feng also knew the martial souls and ranks of the other 6 members. They were all flying-type martial souls. 2 of them were Sky Splitter Eagles, 2 were Battle Patrol Falcons, and 2 were Weary Cloudbirds. They were all relatively powerful martial souls, and the 2 Weary Cloudbirds were very rare flying-type auxiliary soul masters. The Sky Splitter Eagles and Battle Patrol Falcons were both agility-type soul masters, but their attack power was not inferior. especially the Sky Splitter Eagle Martial Soul. Apart from the two Martial Soul Masters who were rank 39 and Battle Patrol Falcons who were rank 40. The two Sky Splitter Eagle Martial Soul Masters were rank 42 and rank 43. They had 3 soul ancestors. In addition to Feng Xiaoyan's Gale, twin-headed wolf, the God Wind Academy was the strongest among the 5 major elemental academies. Because they had the air superiority, you couldn't hit them. 9-1 Kai. It's not too late for you to admit defeat now. Feng Xiaotian was quite handsome with a well-proportioned body. He wore an exquisite light green uniform and had an extraordinary temperament. However, there was a hint of arrogance on his face. Otherwise, I'll have to avenge Fire Dance. Feng Xiaotian liked Fire Dance, Wang Feng knew, but he didn't expect to meet her so soon. After beating the Blazing Academy, the Godwind Academy would definitely not let it go easily. However, it was impossible for them to admit defeat. Perhaps, for other teams, the Godwind Academy was the most difficult to deal with. But for Wang Feng, this Godwind Academy might be the easiest to deal with. When the referee heard Feng Xiaoyan's words, he subconsciously glanced at Wang Feng, as if he wanted to ask for Feng Xiaoyan's opinion. Admit defeat? Because in many people's opinion, there was really no need to do so. Even if the Purple Star College lost a match, with their victory, there was still a high possibility of them winning. However, Feng Xiaotian didn't answer, but stretched out his hands. He made a cross sign. Seeing this scene, the audience went into an uproar in an instant. Although Feng Xiaotian didn't say anything, many people saw his action very clearly. 10. It meant 10 seconds. Before, there were still a few teams who didn't understand, but when they lost, they understood. It meant, within 10 seconds, you will lose. It was like the order of the King of Hell, but also like a 10-second curse. After these 10 matches, no team was able to escape from this 10-second curse. The faces of the God Wind Academy's students sank. They were from the 5 major elemental academies, and this Feng Xiaotian was still so arrogant. 10 seconds? The referee didn't say anything. He hurriedly retreated and shouted loudly, "Let the match begin." His voice fell. The 7 members of the God Wind Academy, led by Feng Xiaotian, quickly revealed their martial spirits. Pairs of wings appeared on the back of the 7 people. Feng Xiaotian, who had never used his flying ability, had the biggest momentum. 2 huge wolf heads appeared on his head, emitting a cold gaze, and a pair of wings quickly condensed on his back. Then, they directly flew into the sky. The 7 people formed a formation. 7 pairs of eyes coldly looked at Feng Xiaotian, who was at least 10 meters away from them. The expression on their faces seemed to be saying, "How can you win?" At night, in a chapter. Chapter 347. Feng Xiaotian changed his usual behavior and chose to fly into the air for the first time. He didn't choose to fight with 9 on the ground, even though his Gale, double-headed wolf, was almost a top-notch martial soul. It had powerful close combat abilities. If it was in the past, Feng Xiaotian would choose to fight with the opponent after activating his martial soul. Then, the 6 of them would form a flying formation to support him and defeat the opponent. However, this time, Feng Xiaotian chose to fly in order to secure his victory and to ruthlessly trample on this 9-1 opponent. Formation. In midair, Feng Xiaotian shouted. At the same time, the 7 of them rose again. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. At this height, even Tang San's blue-silver grass couldn't touch them. Even if they jumped up and barely reached this height, it would be very difficult to hurt them. With wings, they weren't weak in the air. On the contrary, they were much more agile. First formation, cloud formation. Feng Xiaoyan's eyes flashed with a cold light and a trace of excitement. If he could defeat 9 on the 1, he should be able to make Fire Dance happy, right? For this, he didn't have to use his full strength, but he had to use something real. After all, the opponent was 9 on the 1. It wasn't like they hadn't studied the strength of this mysterious person. Feng Xiaotian didn't choose to fight head-on the ground. He didn't have much confidence in defeating 9 on the 1. The opponent's various abilities on the ground were really flawless. Feng Xiaotian didn't dare to say that he was faster than the opponent. One had to know that he was a rank 44 agility-type soul master with a mutated martial soul. His speed on the ground exceeded that of a rank 50 soul master. Therefore, he decisively chose to fly in the air. Following Feng Xiaotian's words, the purple soul rings of the two soul masters from the curling cloudbird started to shine brightly. As the name suggested, the cloudbird was a small bird that liked to fly among the clouds. This small bird could fly very high in the sky, but it was also very weak. It didn't have very strong offensive power, and as a martial soul, its ability was very powerful. It could swallow and spit out clouds. As the third purple soul ring of the two cloudbird soul masters lit up, they suddenly spat out a fog in the air. This fog quickly floated in midair, spread, and condensed. In just a moment, it covered the entire arena. From afar, they looked like white clouds. It seemed that this was the first time they had seen the Divine Wind team use such a special move. Countless people couldn't help but widen their eyes. This was the third soul skill of the two Cirrus Bird Soul Masters. Perching Cloud. As the name implied, it spat out special white clouds that covered the entire sky. Of course, this was no ordinary cloud. This should be a soul skill formed by absorbing a perching bird soul ring. On the spectator's stand, the Grandmaster looked at the clouds and said in a deep voice, "Perching birds are a special kind of soul master. They are very weak, but their survivability is very strong. This is because they have a special ability to block soul power perception. The gray feathers on their bodies can protect them in all kinds of environments, making them difficult to detect. They are also a relatively rare type of soul beast. In that case, the clouds that the two soul masters of the Divine Wind Battle team spit out have the ability to block perception to a certain extent." Tang Xin sucked in a breath of cold air. He seemed to have thought of something. These team members have the ability to fly. If there are large patches of clouds, they can also block perception to a certain extent. This, the others instantly understood as well. He couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. Flying in the clouds, it was difficult to detect them. If they launched any attack, you wouldn't be able to perceive their position, and it would be difficult to react in advance. "I haven't seen them use it before." Ma Hongjun couldn't help but look. Is this God Wind Academy too excessive? Flying in the air is already bad enough, but they also created such clouds. It's already difficult to see their figures in the clouds. If even soul power perception can't detect them, how can other people play? The most basic function of the clouds was to hide the figures of the 7 people. Once they hid in the clouds, their line of sight couldn't catch them. But they could still use soul power to perceive their approximate position, because when the opponent released a soul skill, there would definitely be soul power fluctuations, which could be predicted in advance. If these clouds had the ability to block perception to a certain extent, then it was equivalent to not being able to detect the opponent's position at all. It would be too late to perceive and react in advance. Soon, the two Cirrus Bird Soul Masters spat out countless clouds. For a time, the figures of the 7 people completely disappeared. This seemed to be the official start of the battle. Almost at the beginning, the Godwin Academy had an absolute advantage, an unparalleled advantage. Jioikai was still in the same place. The second formation, Blade Rain. Feng Xiaotian's voice came again. In the next second, countless wind blades, like raindrops, attacked Jioikai below. Those clouds could not only cover the figures of the 7 people, but even when the 7 people used soul skills, the light of their soul rings could not be seen. Coupled with the ability to block perception to a certain extent, it was impossible to detect the position of the opponent's attack. All kinds of wind blades fell from the sky at high speed, as if they could cut through steel, accurately covering Jioikai's surroundings. Wang Feng slightly dodged. His powerful and terrifying reaction speed allowed him to completely avoid the wind blades falling on his body. His body kept moving at high speed. However, the 7 people in the clouds had a wide field of vision and were able to lock onto Wang Feng's position at any time. It was as if there were 7 bombers crazily bombing the ground. Generally, the Godwind Academy would not use this kind of move to deal with others, because it was not worth it. They would at most fly in the air and then condense countless wind blades to attack the enemy. Very quickly, 3 seconds passed. Every second, Wang Feng's speed was extremely fast. He was like a high-speed racing car, making various changes in the arena to dodge the wind blades falling from the air. But it seemed that Zhou Yikai did not have the strength to fight back for the time being. Isn't he too strong? Even if we go up, we won't be able to do anything. Ma Hongjun was shocked. Unless it's a random soul skill, it'll be a win if it hits one. Little San, your eyes are special, so you should be able to perceive the people in the clouds, right? Ma Hongjun was talking about Tang San's purple demon eyes. Tang San frowned slightly, then shook his head. I can, but it's too troublesome. Their wind blades are a very strong soul skill. They're very fast and have a very strong attack. When they hit the ground, they will leave visible marks on the ground. The power is enough to cut through my blue-silver grass, and with such a large area of attack, it's very difficult to dodge quickly. Also, it's too passive. If we fly in the air, the agility of a single wheel is not as good as their natural flight system. And we can't go up as support-type soul masters, otherwise we'll have to protect others. The opponent's high altitude was almost beyond the range of his blue-silver grass. Chapter 348. It's impossible for those who are not good at speed to dodge completely. Xiao Wu thought for a moment and said, not everyone can dodge at high speed like 9 opens. Zhu Qing may be able to do it, but she's the fastest among us. Tang San nodded slightly. It was impossible for him to dodge like this for a long time. He would eventually be hit. The opponent's wind blades were cast by 7 people, and they were released very quickly, which meant that there were many of them. The coverage was also large. The most important thing was that he still didn't know where he was. Tang San's purple demon eyes could see through the clouds in front of him and see the opponent's figure. But after seeing it, he still needed to send the information to the 7 people. That would be too slow. It was like an invisible bomber. If you couldn't catch it, it would be even more difficult to defend. Looking at this scene, Tang San could finally feel the strength of the Godwind Academy. Perhaps their individual combat strength was not strong. But with 7 people and 2 special assistants, although they were also walking the ultimate style, they were too strong. Tang San couldn't find any way. Even if the 7 of them fought, their chances of winning were not high. Even if Tang San used hidden weapons and took out the Zhuge Divine Crossbow, it would be difficult to deal with them. The only thing he could think of was to use extreme dodging to exhaust the opponent to death. But only Zhu Qing and him could do this. He could use the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to have a strong dodging ability. Everyone was silent. After another 2 seconds, the 7 people in the cloud seemed to have paused. After all, it might be a little tiring to shoot at such a high speed. 9 opens. I'll give you another chance to admit defeat. Next time, you won't be able to dodge. Feng Xiaoyan's voice came from the clouds. The whole audience was watching closely. Countless pairs of eyes fell on 9 opens. Would he admit defeat? If he's smart, he should admit defeat. On the spectator stand, He Wuxuan was also watching. Although he's very fast and can dodge perfectly by changing his route at high speed. But Feng Xiaoyan's Godwind Academy is not that simple. It's unrealistic to rely on dodging to exhaust their soul power. In just a few seconds, he doesn't even have a chance to fight back. Huo Wu suddenly frowned and said, no, he seems to have made a move. As soon as she said that, Huo Wuxuan was stunned and quickly looked. Countless pairs of eyes were also staring. Kai 9 had indeed moved. Countless black lights slowly gathered from his hand. Many people had guessed that these black lights were a kind of soul bone. What does he want to do? Such thoughts appeared in the minds of countless people. Even Feng Xiaoyan, who was in the clouds, was stunned. Jiuyi's soul bone seemed to be a little special, but it didn't have the ability to fly. The next moment, everyone immediately understood. In less than a second, countless black lights formed a pitch-black bow in Wang Feng's hand. Next, 9 split open took out a pitch-black tendon from his bosom and quickly wrapped it around the 2 tips of the bow. A true pitch-black bow was suddenly formed. Feng Xiaotian was stunned as well. Countless rays of black light rapidly formed an arrow on the large bow. Whoosh! The sharp sound of air being torn apart resounded throughout the entire arena. In an instant, the pitch-black arrow pierced through the clouds and the moon, shooting into the clouds. A blood-curdling scream suddenly rang out. A battlecruiser, Soul Master, descended from the clouds. The arrow seemed to be blunt. It did not pierce through the body of the battle falcon. Instead, it pierced through the wings of light behind them. These wings were formed by using soul power to drive the martial spirit. It could be broken. Almost no one was able to react. Shoo! Shoo! A series of sonic booms were heard as Wang Feng's pitch-black bow shot into the clouds like streaks of black light. Every time a sound rang out, there was bound to be a scream. It was as if Jiu Yikai had an incomparably clear understanding of the positions of every member of the Divine Wind Battle team in the clouds. It was too fast. The speed of each arrow was too fast. In the next second, more than 10 arrows tore through the air and shot out from the black bow in Wang Feng's hands. Moreover, the number of arrows was still increasing. Wang Feng had already thought of a countermeasure to deal with the Divine Wind Academy. He had even been practicing a few days ago. It seemed that the Divine Wind Academy was very difficult to deal with, but to him, it was very easy to deal with them. He did not need to use the fourth form of the soul-slaying spear. He used the soul-devouring blood wings. Wang Feng did not want to expose himself so easily. He used his brain. The people on land had long been taught how to deal with creatures flying in the air. If normal attacks can't hit you, I'll shoot you down one by one, okay? He used the mysterious underworld spike to form an incomparably tough pitch-black bow. The arrows were formed from the mysterious underworld spike. In order to prevent them from being killed, Wang Feng had even blunted the tips of the arrows. Not only that, but he also aimed at the wings of light behind them. The current mysterious underworld spike was even stronger than the dragon beard needle Tang San had used before. It could easily pierce through the wings formed by the soul power of these flying-type soul masters after being possessed by their martial spirits. In addition, Wang Feng had been practicing diligently for the past few days. He completely relied on the mysterious underworld spike to form the arrows. He did not need any time to draw the arrows. Once an arrow was shot, a second arrow would immediately follow. Even 2 arrows would be shot at the same time, 3 arrows would be shot at the same time, and even 7 arrows would be shot at the same time. Wang Feng had already sensed the position of the opponents in the clouds through the skull. After the analysis of dodging just now, he could also speculate the specific position of each of the 7 soul masters. What was more interesting was that the arrows formed by his mysterious underworld spike were not ordinary arrows. In addition to the astonishing speed and power, there was also, at this moment, everyone was stunned. No one had thought that 9 openings would use such an ancient and traditional method to attack. However, it was incomparably effective. No one would have thought that 9 openings' special soul bone could actually form such a shape. This was a completely understandable, yet incomparably strange train of thought. Even Tang San and the others who had some understanding of 9 openings did not expect it. Bow, an arrow, bow, an arrow. Yes, his special soul bone can form all kinds of shapes. Why can't it form a bow and arrow? Tang San's face was filled with surprise as he looked at the battle ring. In just a few seconds, the members of the God Wind Academy quickly descended from the clouds. Moreover, looking at his proficient appearance, it seems that he must have practiced it before or even anticipated it. That attack, just now, was he analyzing the position of the enemies in the clouds? However, the speed of his arrows is too fast. It's several times faster than my Zhuge Divine crossbow. The bow formed by the mysterious underworld spike is actually so powerful. Chapter 349. If one looked from afar. 9 openings on the ground of the arena were like several repeating crossbows. The black cold light was like arrows shooting out of clouds. Holes were shot out one after another. Speed and strength were several times faster than Tang San's repeating crossbow. Even Tang San had to open his purple demon eyes to see the trajectory clearly. It's 3 simultaneous shots. For simultaneous shots. Even 7 simultaneous shots. Tang San took a light breath. It's impossible to achieve this kind of technique without a few years of practice. Tang San also knew how to use a bow and arrow. It was a very traditional and ancient skill. Moreover, with a more advanced machine like the repeating crossbow, Tang San's bow and arrow level was not high. But he knew that there was a world in this world. In this world, there were also bows and arrows. There were even bow-type martial spirits. How is this possible? Tang San felt a little incredulous. Third brother, what's wrong? The rest were shocked and had long been stunned. At this moment, when they heard Tang San's words, they did not come back to their senses at all. Only Ma Hongjun asked excitedly, No, even if he can use the soul bone to condense a bow and arrow, this kind of bow and arrow technique is definitely not something that can be learned in a few days or even a few months. Tang San was too shocked in his heart. What he saw was more and deeper. That was why he felt incredulous. Yes, many people might be shocked. They were just shocked by this scene. But it was impossible to learn this kind of bow and arrow technique in a short period of time. But at this moment, every time 9 openings drew the bow, 7 black lights shot towards the clouds. After the first battlecruiser Soul Master was shot down, the remaining 6 reacted quickly and began to dodge in the clouds. They even rose up. Among them, the one who reacted the fastest was Feng Xiaotian, because he was the strongest. His arrow did not hit, but his face was ashen, because he realized that the offensive of the 2 sides had completely changed. 5 seconds ago, he was the one who was suppressing 9 openings. But 5 seconds later, when 9 openings condensed a pitch-black bow, it changed. In a cliché, it was a bird gun replaced by a cannon. The 7 of them seemed to have become someone's prey. Feng Xiaotian's face darkened as he looked at the black arrow that was shot out from the bow in his opponent's hand. He had never thought that his opponent would use such a method to deal with them. Furthermore, this method couldn't be replicated. Other than this 9-to-1 method, no other soul master could do it. Even a soul master with a bow-type martial soul might not be able to do this. The strength of his opponent's body. Also, that special soul bone was extremely mysterious. Could it take on other forms? Furthermore, could those arrows be condensed from soul bones as well? But when he thought about it, if bows and arrows could be formed, why couldn't arrows? At this moment, it might be an exaggeration to say that the sky was filled with arrows, but it wasn't too far off. Only 4 seconds. Aside from Feng Xiaotian, the 7 divine wind members all landed on the ground. In fact, the 2 weakest soul masters from the curling cloudbird had fallen to the ground at the same time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Indiscriminate arrows shot madly towards the clouds. Even if one could dodge one, it was impossible to dodge 7 at the same time. However, at this moment, only Feng Xiaotian was still flying in the air, but he was sweating profusely. Countless people watched this scene in a daze. The first 5 seconds and the last 4 seconds were simply a reversal of extremes. Such a huge change caused everyone at the scene to stare with their eyes and mouths agape. Even the people in the VIP seats were speechless. The 2 siblings, Huowu Shuang and Huowu, who were watching the battle, also had their mouths wide open as they watched in disbelief. The Divine Wind Academy, who originally had a huge advantage, was instantly shot down by 9-to-1 using such a special and traditional method of attack in just 3 seconds. That kind of shock made the 2 of them a little absent-minded. What exactly is this person's soul bone? It's actually so special that it can automatically form bows and arrows. Sokka's Platinum Bishop's eyes were incomparably solemn as he watched. There are all kinds of strange soul bones in the world, but this one is really unique. However, Lord Bishop obviously didn't see it clearly enough. Ning Fengji chuckled. If it's only forming bows and arrows, this 9-to-1 method wouldn't be enough to shock me. However, his archery skills are unbelievable. He can shoot 7 arrows in a row at the fastest speed, And it's because of that many arrows that the Divine Wind Academy's people couldn't completely dodge. They could only let their wings of light be pierced and fall from the sky. Some of the arrows hit their bodies and directly sent them flying. After saying that, Ning Fingji looked at Gu Rong as if he wanted to see if he knew the secret. Gu Rong shook his head. To shoot 7 arrows in a row and hit the dodging members of the Divine Wind Academy without a long time of practice, it was impossible to do so. And this competition had only been going on for more than 10 days, unless the opponent had long thought of encountering the Divine Wind Academy situation and practiced. Wang Feng, of course, couldn't learn 7 arrows in a row in just a few days. He had never played with a bow before, and with his current physical fitness and strength, he could only shoot 3 arrows in a row in a few days. But at this time, as the 2 Cirrus Cloud Bird Soul Masters landed on the ground, the clouds quickly dispersed. At this time, on the field, only Feng Xiaotian and 9-1 were left. Feng Xiaotian was sweating profusely at this moment, but his heart was slightly determined. The opponent's soul bone could not condense an infinite number of arrows. In these few seconds, 9-1 had used at least 60 to 70 arrows, and there were not many left. But with his dodging ability, he could completely dodge. When the opponent ran out of ammunition, it would have been more than 10 seconds, and at that time, wait, even if it was more than 10 seconds, I can't win. Why did I make it my goal to hold on for more than 10 seconds? Feng Xiaotian's face sank. Maintaining the flying posture also consumed soul power, and the wind blade just now also consumed soul power. Although there was only one person left, he still had a killer move, but he needed to maintain his peak state to use it, and if he used it now, the effect would be greatly reduced. 9-1, you can't shoot me. Feng Xiaotian's face twitched. You have 1 second left, and you can't beat our Divine Wind Academy in 10 seconds. You don't have many soul bones left, right? I see that you can't condense arrows. What will you do? After saying that, Feng Xiaotian's face turned slightly red. The audience was stunned. Why did these words sound so strange? Why did it seem like if you could hold on for more than 10 seconds, you will win? Since when, in front of 9-1, holding on for more than 10 seconds is considered a win. Big brother, defeating the opponent is considered a win, okay? However, it seemed that 9-1 did indeed have 10 seconds before the battle. That 10 seconds curse. Countless people were silent, although they felt that Feng Xiaotian's words were strange. But it was true that 10 seconds had passed. And the next second. Chapter 350. Everyone saw Jiao Yi pull open the black bow in his hand and pulled it into a full moon shape again. A black arrow quickly condensed. There was only one arrow. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang again. With a black stream of light, it shot towards Feng Xiaotian. Feng Xiaotian's entire body was highly focused as he stared at the black stream of light and dodged to the side by a hair's breadth. He broke out in cold sweat again. It's useless. Although your arrows are fast, I'm not slow at all. And my third soul skill, Gale Twin Wolf Transformation, can increase my physical strength and speed by 100%. Your arrow can't hit me. Feng Xiaotian laughed out loud. Unless your arrow can still turn in the air, right at this moment. Whoosh! Feng Xiaotian only felt a chill on his back. The arrow just now actually turned and shot back at him. One arrow pierced through his light wings. In fact, it even hit his back directly. Poochie! Although the tip of the arrow was blunt, it made Feng Xiaotian feel that his back was hit by a huge force. This power even contained a special force that could shatter the defense of his physical body. In an instant, it made him fall directly from mid-air. How is this possible? How is it possible for his arrow to turn in mid-air? Feng Xiaotian's mind was full of question marks. Not only him, the entire audience was in an uproar. The last arrow turned, and the arrow stunned everyone. It was completely beyond everyone's understanding. How could an arrow that was shot out turn? In the VIP seats, several people suddenly stood up and looked at this scene in disbelief. Bang! Feng Xiaotian fell directly to the ground, but it was difficult for him to get up. However, Even the referee was stunned and had no intention of announcing the victory of the match. This question was in almost everyone's mind. Even Tang San felt that he could not understand. What was the situation with the bow and arrow turning? Moreover, this was not a slight arc turn, but a 360-degree turn. Even a machine could not do it. But in the next moment, Jiao Ikai's action made many people understand. Jiao Ikai's body shook slightly. The countless black arrows that landed on the stage seemed to have a mind of their own as they rapidly shot toward Jiao Ikai. Then, they turned into countless black rays in midair and disappeared into Jiao Ikai's sleeves. I understand. Tang San was suddenly enlightened. We've all made a mistake. Those arrows weren't shot out by him. They were shot out by his soul force. In other words, he could control those arrows. He has been misleading us from the very beginning. Those are soul bones. Soul bones need to be controlled by soul power. He waited until the very end to use it as a trump card. He heard Tang San's explanation. The rest of the stunned crowd also came to a sudden realization. Many of the audience members also vaguely understood. Feng Xiaotian also understood. Wang Fengxin smiled. He was not as awesome as Tang San said. The arrow was shot out. It was impossible for him to have such speed and strength if he only used his soul power without a point to borrow strength. But at the same time, the arrow was also under his control. This was because every single mysterious underworld spike was imbued with his soul power. The arrow that was condensed naturally contained his soul power. This was also the reason why he could fire 7 shots at once. Wang Feng had only practiced for a few days, so he didn't know the skill of shooting 7 shots at once. It was more difficult to achieve 3 shots at once. But if there was soul power in the arrows, it meant that these arrows could be controlled by him. Then it was not impossible to achieve 7 shots at once. In the end, he only shot 1 arrow because Wang Feng needed to concentrate his spiritual power to control the arrow to make a turn in order to achieve the effect of catching Feng Xiaotian off guard. Otherwise, it would be easy to dodge. Although the soul power was imbued on the arrow, as the distance increased, it required extremely strong spiritual power to control the arrow. Therefore, Wang Feng only used 1 arrow. He wanted to focus his mind and calm his qi so that after the arrow missed its target, it could quickly and accurately turn around and shoot back. If there were 7 arrows at the same time, Wang Feng couldn't make all 7 arrows turn at the same time. Otherwise, it wouldn't take 5 seconds. It only took 1 second for Wang Feng to shoot 7 arrows directly, and all 7 of them would definitely hit the target. That was too exaggerated. He had already become an arrow immortal. One must know that when the arrow flew out, the farther it was, the harder it was to control. If it was more than 100 meters, Wang Feng's control of the arrow would be greatly reduced. Fortunately, the opponent didn't fly so high, and the arena wasn't so far. However, from the beginning, Wang Feng did give Feng Xiaotian an illusion. The arrow was shot with a bow. But in fact, the arrow could be controlled. Wang Feng only used it as a trump card to deal with Feng Xiaotian. In this battle, Wang Feng still didn't use anything superfluous. He still only used the Dark Nether Thorn and a special tactic to completely defeat God Wind Academy. To be precise, he really only used 5 seconds to defeat God Wind Academy. This was also why Wang Feng said that God Wind Academy was the easiest to deal with for him. 1 bow and arrow, and directly shot all of you down. This battle could be said to be very shocking to the audience. The huge disadvantage in the first 5 seconds, and the absolute turnaround in the last 4 seconds. In the last second, the last arrow's shocking reversal. God Wind Academy was defeated in an instant. The 10-second curse still didn't break. When the referee came back to his senses and announced Purple Star College's victory, the entire main Seoul arena burst into an uproar of excitement. This 9-1 battle was really interesting. He seemed to have a way to defeat you that you would never be able to guess. His magical soul bone seemed to be tailor-made for him. It could change its form to attack. Today's last arrow would probably become an unforgettable arrow for countless people. Feng Xiaotian stood up and looked at the back of the leaving figure. His expression was a little depressed, and the 16 members behind him were also very depressed. It was the first time that they were defeated in such a way. However, they really couldn't help but be convinced. In this battle, they had used a lot of things. But in the end, they were suppressed to the point that they didn't have the chance to fight back. Captain, this 9-1 battle is really too strong. A team member came up. Although his face was a little ashamed, he still whispered, "Not only is his body strong, his brain is too strong." He could obviously control the arrow to turn, but he didn't use it at the beginning. It's obvious that he wanted us to go into the wrong direction. It's hard to think of this point. Until the end to deal with you, Feng Xiaotian waved his hand. He naturally knew this point. Let's wait for the promotion match. Feng Xiaotian's face sank. Next time, we won't be able to fall for it. This kind of battle can't be replicated. As long as we are prepared, it will be difficult for him to defeat us in this way. That's right. This kind of battle was indeed difficult to replicate. Wang Feng used the dark nether spike to form the bow and arrow, shooting at the speed of light, and finally controlling the arrow to turn. The best part was that it was unexpected, but once the opponent was prepared, it would be difficult to succeed. Chapter 351. As this match came to an end, the mysterious soul bone used by 9-1 had finally revealed its ferocious edge. Many other teams were silent as they watched this scene. Purple Star College's slogan was, "One man to win the tournament." From the beginning of the opening ceremony, it was a ridiculous statement. But now, it seemed that this 9-1 opening could really be achieved. Many teams were unfamiliar with this absurd feeling. There was also a sense of fear. Huo Wushuang and Huo Wu, who had been silent for a long time, had left the spectator stands. They bumped into Feng Xiaotian, who had just walked down from the arena. Huo Wu almost won this battle. Feng Xiaotian walked over and wanted to explain, but he was interrupted by Huo Wu. "No, you can't win." Feng Xiaotian was speechless. Huo Wu shook her head and said, "Feng Xiaotian, I know you still have a few big moves that you haven't used today. You still have your self-created soul skills. But do you believe that you won't have a chance to use them, even if you fight again? I didn't lose unjustly," Feng Xiaotian. After speaking, Huo Wu left. Her dark red hair brushed past Feng Xiaotian's face. There was a lingering fragrance. "Huo Wu, Feng Xiaotian turned around and opened his mouth. However, he didn't say anything. There was only a trace of unwillingness in his eyes. 9-1, Feng Xiaotian muttered. Suddenly, he laughed and said, "I can't beat you, but I can beat Shrek Academy, right? That Tang San, I can at least beat him, right?" Feng Xiaotian left with a trace of unwillingness. 9-1 is a little scary, Dai Mubai whispered from the spectator stands. After so many matches, he can still defeat his opponents with such efficiency. It's hard to imagine that he's alone. He has endless tricks up his sleeves. They had watched many matches. Today's match was even more shocking than the previous match against Elephant Armor Sect and Blazing Academy. That soul bone of his is really too cool and useful. Ma Hongjun said enviously, "It would be great if I had one too." It's not that simple. Tang San shook his head. The more powerful a soul bone is, the more power it needs to unleash. It's like a peerless weapon. Even if it was given to you, you wouldn't know how to use it. Only in the hands of a true expert can those weapons unleash their full power. In other words, Fatty, it's useless even if you have such a soul bone. Little 3 is right. Master nodded as well. You've only seen the strong side of him. Have you ever thought about how much effort and time he spent researching, thinking, and practicing? Think about it. Up until now, he still hasn't used his martial soul. His physique is already so strong, and that's why he can use his soul bone so perfectly. Can such a physique be trained in such a short period of time? He needed to persevere for a long time. This was why he was able to use such a powerful soul bone. Don't even think about obtaining such a soul bone. The key is to strengthen yourself. Otherwise, how sad would it be if you guys find a good soul bone in the future, only to realize that you can't use it? Everyone was mercilessly lectured by Master using this opportunity. But everyone nodded and didn't have any intention of refuting, because that was the truth. Let's go back. Get ready for tomorrow's match. Tang Xin was silent for a moment and whispered. He had exposed a lot of things today, including his fire immunity and some things when he attacked the Blazing Academy. For example, the Ghost Shadow Perplexing track, which had been exposed in the first few matches, should be noticed now. Master glanced at Tang San and said, Little 3, if you encounter a 9-1 or God Wind Academy, you can concede. You've lost 2 rounds in the qualifiers. As long as you can appear, there won't be any problems. The advancement match is the key. Everyone felt that it was reasonable, but they were a little unwilling, because the more they exposed now, the more disadvantageous it would be in the future. Wang Feng and Master's initial suggestion was to only use one soul skill as much as possible. But now no, Master. Tang Sen shook his head and said, There's only one competition. Brother Feng said before that we can't have any regrets in our youth. Admitting defeat is a kind of regret. We'd rather fight once. Even if we lose, it doesn't matter. But we can't admit defeat directly. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Even Master was stunned. Yes, we can't have any regrets in our youth. Master's eyes flashed with memories. He felt that he had a lot of regrets, not only his youth. So, even if we encounter a 9-1, we have to fight. Tang Xin grinned. Third brother is right. Ma Hongjun laughed. If we can't, let's call Monster Captain. I don't believe that we can't beat this 9-1. I also think that if Wang Feng plays, we'll be invincible. Ning Rongrong said confidently. 9-1 is strong, but Brother Feng is not weak either. He hasn't revealed his 4th soul ring yet. Have you forgotten? Xiao Wu's eyes flashed slyly. Brother Feng can't reveal too much. His green lotus martial soul should have 4 forms now, right? Even if he only uses the first 2, I feel that his divine soul skill can double our combat power. There's also Fatty and Captain's martial soul fusion skill. It's also very strong. Oscar smiled. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. She didn't say anything, but she had already explained everything. For a moment, everyone's confidence rose again. Only Master at the side was silent. Children, it's impossible for Little Feng to play at the same time as you guys. In the VIP seats. 9-1, 9-1. What a variable. Bishop Salas's eyes flashed coldly. There were already 2 variables in this year's competition. Shrek Academy was fine. However, this 9-1 opening was truly unfathomable. I heard that 2 days ago, Bishop Salas sent people to Purple Star College to look for this 9-1, but they couldn't find him. Ning Fengji saw that Bishop Salas's expression was a little ugly, and he felt rather happy. Purple Star College was a very trashy college to someone of Bishop Salas's status. Normally, he wouldn't even bother to take a second look at it. But now that there was a 9-1, he naturally wouldn't just watch. Not only him, but many nobles had already gone to Purple Star College to look for this 9-1, and they wanted to recruit him. As the Platinum Bishop of the Martial Spirit Palace, Sakas naturally would not let him go. Moreover, with his identity and status, it was reasonable to say that recruiting someone from the Purple Star Academy was not a difficult task. On the contrary, it was the other party's honor. But he didn't expect to be snubbed. 9-1 didn't accept any recruitment at all. He was also very mysterious. Even the dean of Purple Star College didn't know who he was. He only said that he would participate in the competition within the stipulated time. In other words, there were more than 80,000 people in the main venue, and anyone could be 9-1. Could it be that he, the Platinum Bishop, had to look for them one by one? Ning Fengji laughed inwardly. He had also sent people, but this 9-1 was really mysterious. Other than meeting him at the auction that day, he didn't have the chance to meet him again. There are some things that you can't get, so be it, Bishop Salas said lightly. Hearing this, Ning Fengji's heart sank. It seemed like this Platinum Bishop was going to use some tricks. If he couldn't get it, he would destroy it. After all, it wasn't difficult to make a team lose the right to participate in the competition. Chapter 352. When Wang Feng came down from the stage, the entire stadium was still cheering excitedly. That scene, was simply like the national football team winning the World Cup. Wang Feng could also understand the excitement of the other side. This battle, in total, had long exceeded 10 seconds from the time Feng Xiaotian led his team members to fly into the air, the two Cirrus Cloud Birdsoul Masters spitting out clouds. It had taken quite some time. But the real battle did not exceed 10 seconds. Accurately speaking, the time Jiu Yi took to attack was only 5 seconds. For a battle between rank 40 soul ancestors, the reaction time was very short, unless they used those soul skills that needed to be stored up. Later on, Feng Xiaotian actually intended to use those powerful soul skills that needed to be stored up, so that Wang Feng would have nowhere to hide. But unfortunately, Wang Feng did not give him the opportunity. Just withstanding the opponent's wind blade attack, Wang Feng mercilessly counterattacked. Why did he have to finish the battle in such a short time? In fact, Wang Feng did not care about 10 seconds. But he must not drag it out. The reason was very simple. The longer the battle, the more his strength would be exposed, and the easier it would be for his identity to be detected. To be able to finish it in a short time, Wang Feng naturally would not drag it out. Moreover, Wang Feng was already prepared for the God Wind Academy, and even thought of the tactics in advance. To be able to achieve this scene, Wang Feng had already rehearsed it several times in his mind. Otherwise, this battle would not have ended so easily. There were too many factors involved. If he fought with the God Wind Academy again, Wang Feng estimated that it would be very difficult to finish it in 10 seconds. Perhaps it would take a long time. It is a classic battle, but it cannot be replicated. There are many ways to deal with the God Wind Academy, but this kind of unexpected and very efficient method, the second time it is used, will be greatly reduced. Wang Fengxin secretly thought. This was also the most concise and efficient method that Wang Feng could think of. It had a unique and sudden nature. If the opponent was prepared to deal with it, even if his arrow could turn, Feng Xiaotian would be able to avoid it. Even the other 6 people would also come up with various ways to deal with it. The God Wind Academy's people were not stupid. How would they be able to do the same thing? Just like those famous battles in the history of his previous life, there were too many factors that determined the outcome. Any small factor could cause the entire battlefield to undergo earth-shattering changes. It was impossible to start all over again. Next, there are only the Skywater Academy and the Thunder Academy and Tang San. Wang Feng pondered. Skywater Academy. If the Thunder Academy was smart, they should automatically admit defeat. It was because even if Thunder Academy could hold on for 10 seconds, their loss was certain. However, if the other party insisted on coming, then there was nothing Wang Feng could do. As for Skywater Academy, their overall strength was inferior to Lei Tang and Divine Wind. However, Wang Feng remembered that in the original novel, Skywater Academy had a very powerful martial soul fusion skill. Wang Feng had forgotten what it was called. However, it wasn't realistic for them to cause him any harm. However, Skywater Academy and Thunder Academy's attacks both had special attack effects, freezing and paralyzing. These 2 special restrictions were still effective against Wang Feng. Without deified status, Wang Feng wasn't immune to these special controls. But Wang Feng could use all sorts of skills to dodge them. I wonder if Xiao San and the others will admit defeat and forfeit? Wang Feng frowned. It would be best if he directly admitted defeat and forfeited, because he would lose even if he went up. Moreover, if they admitted defeat, they could preserve their strength and fight in the promotion round. After Wang Feng returned to the academy, he continued to train. The following qualifiers were not out of Wang Feng's expectations. 10 days, 10 matches. All the teams that met the Purple Star College chose to give up and admit defeat. The God Wind Academy was first class among the 5 elemental academies. Even they were defeated, the other academies' teams naturally could not choose to fight with the Purple Star College. Admitting defeat and preserving their strength was the wisest choice. So far, the Purple Star College had maintained a winning streak. In contrast, the Shrek Academy did not have all their main force, so they could not win against the Divine Wind Academy. The kind of cloud air attack was an unsolvable tactic, and Tang Sand could not think a good way. Even if they used the Zhuge repeating crossbow, it was difficult to be effective, and the Zhuge repeating crossbow was not a soul bone, so could not be used on the field. It was impossible for them to pull off a 9-to-1 strategy. Therefore, the master directly asked them to admit defeat and preserve their strength. This time, Tang San did not object, and neither did the others. As for Wang Feng, who had only fought once, it was as if he had been frozen in the Shrek Academy, and he did not appear in the following matches. This made many people feel very regretful, until when they faced the Thunder Academy. Because they had already lost to the Divine Wind Academy, the master suddenly allowed Wang Feng to fight against the Thunder Academy. The Thunder Academy has lost to the Divine Wind Academy once, automatically admitted defeat against the Purple Star College once, and lost to the Blazing Academy once. In the lounge, Tang San slowly introduced today's matches. The master said that Brother Feng can fight today. Also, it has been almost 20 days since the qualifiers. Other than the Thunder Academy, we have only not met the Skywater Academy and the Purple Star College. Everyone nodded. Also, the master said before that Brother Feng only has 2 chances to fight in the qualifiers. He told us to seize it ourselves. The Elephant Armor sect already had 1 chance. Tang Sin looked at everyone. Tomorrow, we will face the Thunder Academy. I have analyzed it. If we only have Mu Bai, Xiao Wu, and me, our chances of winning are not high. The Thunder Academy's offensive abilities are very strong, and they also have a fixed paralysis effect. Close combat is very disadvantageous for us. Also, they are not 1 person, but 7 people. That's why we can bring Big Bro Feng. His deified skill has lightning paralysis effects, so he won't be affected by Thunder Academy's paralysis effects. As long as Mu Bai, the strongest among us, uses it, then with our support, Mu Bai alone will have the powerful ability to fight 1 against 7. Or he can use his second soul skill, Ice Flame Furious Lotus, to bombard the Thunder Academy with a large area of effect, and then let us harvest. I think this is the best and fastest way to deal with the Thunder Academy. If Brother Feng doesn't fight tomorrow, then we can only leave him to deal with the Skywater Academy or the Purple Star College. What do you all think? After speaking, Tang Sin looked at everyone. Only 3 of the 7 monsters would definitely not be able to defeat the Thunder Academy. At least 5 or 6 people would be needed to fight. Moreover, they might not necessarily win. The most important thing was that fighting a team battle against the Thunder Academy was very harmful to the members. His blue-silver grass was not immune to lightning. Once it was injured, he might not be able to recover for the next few days. However, this battle was more crucial. Chapter 353. I suggest that Brother Feng go on stage. Xiao Wu said, at least we can secure a victory. We should be able to win against Skywater Academy. As for Purple Star College, Xiao Wu didn't say anything. After more than a week, Purple Star Academy's 9-1 Opens reputation had become even greater. Especially with their undefeated streak, they could easily defeat the Godwind Academy. This made 9-1 Kai a powerful aura. Aura was very important in a team battle. With this kind of unstoppable aura, Xiao Wu felt that even the 7 monsters would have difficulty defeating them. If all 7 of them were exposed in the preliminaries, it would be very difficult for them to advance to the next round. I also suggest that. Dai Mubai nodded and said, the deified soul skill is Brother Feng's trump card. It's the most suitable to deal with Thunder Academy's team, whose attacks have a paralyzing effect. 1 person is enough. Skywater Academy might not have such a good effect. A soul skill like Ice Flame Furious Lotus can also play a decisive role. Wang Feng smiled, but didn't say anything. The Golden Lotus Soul Ring had already become a 10,000-year soul ring. It directly caused the deified soul skill to become a perfect soul skill. It could be considered as an auxiliary soul skill. Although using a single soul skill consumed a lot of energy, it was much less than a martial soul fusion skill. It was a deified soul skill that had long surpassed their understanding. However, it didn't matter if he had to go on stage. If they really wanted him to fight, the Red Lotus was also fine. Wang Feng believed that apart from the Divine Wind Academy, no other team could withstand the attack of the Red Karmic Fire Lotus Second Soul skill. I suggest that to prevent Brother Feng from exposing too much, he should only use his Second Soul skill. Ma Hongjun laughed mischievously. Speaking of which, I haven't seen Brother Feng's Second Soul skill in a long time, Ice Flame Furious Lotus. Wang Feng didn't use the Ice Flame Furious Lotus many times, because it was an extremely large area of effect attack, and its damage was extremely high. In addition, it had both ice and fire attributes. The range and target of the attack weren't something Wang Feng could control. In other words, his Ice Flame Furious Lotus could cover the entire stage. Once it was used, even Tang San and the others would suffer great damage. Wang Feng naturally didn't use such a terrifying soul skill very often. Back then, he had used it against Zhao Wuji. Over the past year or so, he had occasionally used it a few times to show the 7 of them its effects. However, half a year ago, when Wang Feng obtained his 4th soul ring, his Red Karmic Fire Lotus had become much stronger. Naturally, his soul skills had also become stronger. Once it was used, those people from Thunder Academy, even if they were genius elite soul masters, would be seriously injured even if they didn't die. Fatty is right. Don't use your deified soul skills. After all, there's still the finals. Oscar thought for a moment. But don't you plan to leave the captain behind to deal with the 9-1 odds? Master only gave us 2 chances to use captain. The corner of Wang Feng's mouth twitched slightly. Why do these words sound so strange? No, thanks. After a few days of observation, if we want to defeat 9-1, Big Brother Feng has to reveal more of his strength. Tang Sin shook his head and said, "We can fight with 9-1 on the field, but there's no need to fight for such a high winning rate if we show our trump cards. Moreover, I have a faint feeling that he still has many trump cards that he hasn't revealed yet." Everyone nodded in agreement. After a few days of observation, coupled with the analysis of 9-1 after the previous few battles, they already had a clearer understanding of 9-1 strength. The other party's pure physical fitness was probably at least at the level of a rank 60 Soul Battle Master. Coupled with a special Soul Bone as a weapon and an attack method that was impossible to guard against, it was too difficult to win. Even if Big Brother Feng went up, his chances of winning weren't 100%. Since that was the case, why not let Big Brother Feng go up and fight against Thunder Academy? After all, this was a sure win. It wasn't a loss no matter what. The 7 of them wouldn't reveal much of their strength either, because only Big Brother Feng was going up. They just had to wait for the harvest. Then it's decided. The 7 of them finished their discussion. The lineup didn't change. Only Tang San, Dai Mu Bai, and Wang Feng went up, as well as the other 4 substitutes. Then I want to ask, what is Monster Captain Wang Feng's second soul skill? Tai Long asked a little naively. It can let us win against Thunder Academy so easily and surely. Dai Mu Bai patted Tai Long and said with a smile, "Don't worry, you'll know later. This should be the easiest battle we've had against these elemental academies. Compared to Elephant Armor Academy and Blazing Academy, it's a little easier." The other 3 substitutes looked at Wang Feng curiously. To them, Wang Feng was a mystery. However, the reason why the Grandmaster allowed Wang Feng to go up again was indeed because this match was very crucial. So far, among the 5 elemental academies, other than Elephant Armor Academy, who had lost 4 matches, the other teams had only lost 2 to 3 matches. Blazing Academy only lost to Purple Star, Shrek, and Skywater. Even Divine Wind lost to Blazing Academy. As for the reason, everyone knew. And Thunder Academy lost 1 match to Divine Wind, 1 match to Purple Star, and 1 match to Blazing Academy. Divine Wind Academy lost 1 match to Purple Star and 1 match to Blazing Academy. Skywater Academy lost 1 match to Divine Wind and 1 match to Thunder. These 4 teams all had a chance to win, but Purple Star Academy was definitely going to win. Shrek Academy had a high chance of losing to Purple Star, which meant they would lose 2 matches. So, it was best to win against Thunder Academy and Skywater Academy. That way, they would definitely win. Because of Tang San's blue-silver grass and his own water resistance, Skyward Academy was very confident they could win, but it was hard to say for Thunder Academy. This was a reason why Wang Feng was allowed to go up. They had to defeat Thunder Academy with an absolute victory. All right, is there a match from 9-1 today? Tang San suddenly asked. There is, but the opponent will probably admit defeat. Ning Rongrong tilted her head and thought for a moment. It has already been 6 days since we last saw the 9th Heaven Academy fight. Ever since the Godwind Academy lost that day, all the other academies have basically given up on fighting with the Purple Star Academy. Even the Thunder Academy is avoiding them. Only Skyward Academy is left. Today, Purple Star Academy's opponent seems to be a very ordinary academy. Their record is 20 matches, 19 defeats. Because they had received the news early, they paid extra attention to every match of Purple Star Academy. Then, there's probably nothing to say. Tang San smiled. Let's go. This match should be the easiest match we'll face against the 5 great elemental academies. After saying this, Tang San led Wang Feng's group of 6 to the stage through the passageway. Grandmaster and the others had already gone to the spectator stands to watch. It seems like these little guys have already decided on their strategy. I thought that they would really leave Lin Feng for the match against the Purple Star Academy and then go on stage. Flinder smiled. I didn't expect them to be so smart. Using them to deal with Thunder Academy can stabilize their victory. To be honest, I've watched so many matches of 9-1, but I can't estimate his specific strength. Chapter 354. That's because too little is revealed when a 9 is won. Lu Erlong pondered, but her tone was a bit more irritable. It would be great if we could go up and fight. Tang San and the others didn't bring Zhu Zhuqing up, which means they don't plan to use martial soul fusion skills. Are they going to let Lin Feng fight personally? He's revealing too much of his strength like this. How can that be? This kid's second soul skill is very abnormal. You might not have seen it before, but you'll know later. Zhao Wuji seemed to have thought of something and said with lingering fear, I feel that the entire arena will explode later. Wang Feng's second soul skill was rarely seen even by the master, but its power could be eliminated. Zhao Wuji naturally felt it even more clearly. When this kid was at rank 30, his scalp went numb. At rank 45, Zhao Wuji estimated that he wouldn't be able to withstand that second soul skill a few times. These rank 40-plus soul masters would be completely defeated in one move. Is it that exaggerated? Lu Erlong had never seen it before, so she was naturally even more puzzled and looked at the master. The master coughed a few times. Watch the match. Watch the match. At this moment, as the two teams went up again, soon, the surrounding audience began to cheer, but it was clear that Thunder Academy's popularity wasn't low. The only special thing was that this time, Shrek Academy seemed to have a new face against Thunder Academy. Until they saw the new Wang Feng, everyone suddenly realized that it wasn't a new face. He had appeared before. VIP seats. It's been 20 matches. This kid is finally going up again? Ning Fengji watched until he was a little sleepy. 14 matches a day. Not every match was so exciting. Before, whether it was Shrek Academy, the other 5 great elemental academies, or even Purple Star College, he watched very seriously. The matches were also very exciting, but the other team's matches are naturally less exciting. So not to mention Ning Fengji, the other people in the VIP seats even left early. But it seems that they didn't bring that girl. Are they not planning to use martial soul fusion skills this time? A smile also appeared on Gu Rong's face. But this Thunder Academy isn't simple. They seem to only have 2 main players. Are they that confident in this kid Wang Feng? This year's 5 great elemental academies were exceptionally powerful. As for the main force of the Shrek Academy, they clearly knew who they were. I'm looking forward to seeing this kid fight. Ning Fengji's eyes flashed with interest. Apart from the match against the Elephant Armor Clan, he was finally up for the next match. Moreover, he didn't even need to take part in the battle at the Elephant Armor sect. This time, he should be the one taking part, right? Thinking about it, Ning Fengji realized that he had never seen Wang Feng fight with his own eyes. Naturally, he was looking forward to it. I want to see it too. Gu Rong also nodded slightly. This Wang Feng again? He doesn't plan on using a martial soul fusion skill. He's an auxiliary-type soul master, and he wants to defeat the Thunder Academy in a situation where the Shrek Academy only has 2 main members. I'm also very interested in seeing what they'll do in this match. Bishop Sokka's seemed to be in an exceptionally good mood today, and even had a faint smile on his face. Behind Thunder Academy was the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon family, not relying on their martial spirit palace. That was why he was more than happy to see who won and who lost. At this moment, the audience cheered when they saw the Shrek Academy's members enter the arena. Wang Feng and the others wouldn't forget. However, what they wanted to see more was Zhu Zhuqing. They wanted to see Zhu Zhuqing after the 2 of them used a martial soul fusion skill. They wanted to see the god of ice and fire, Zhu Zhuqing, again. That was why they cheered so enthusiastically. However, when they realized that only Wang Feng was up, the cheers gradually died down. Without their goddess, what was the point of watching? Wang Feng. From the moment they walked out of the passageway to the arena, the audience was much quieter. Wang Feng could guess the reason. He couldn't help but think to himself, how popular is Zhu Qing? After using that martial soul fusion skill, her charm has reached the maximum. Now that I'm the only one up, she's even more disappointed. How infuriating. At the same time, Wang Feng also saw the Thunder Academy's members. Yu Tianxin was leading the team. Like Yu Tianheng, she was from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon family. Although she was slightly older, her talent and strength weren't inferior by much. Her soul power was at rank 45. Wang Feng hadn't seen a team above rank 50 yet. He guessed that he wouldn't see one in the Heaven Do Empire. Other than Yu Tianxin, there were 3 other soul ancestors above rank 40, all of whom were lightning type. Lei Tian, rank 43 soul power, Thunder Eagle. Lei Dong, rank 43 soul power, Thunder Spider. Lei Ming, rank 44 soul power, Twin-Fanged Lightning Lion. The 3 behind him were 2 rank 39 ink lightning horses and a rank 40 purple lightning staff soul master with an auxiliary type martial soul. Their soul power ranks were very luxurious. They were even slightly better than the Godwind Academy. Furthermore, from the fact that she chose to avoid the Purple Star Academy, it could be seen that Yu Tianxin wasn't a reckless person. It could be said that the Thunder Academy was extremely powerful. Up until now, they had only lost to the Divine Wind Academy and the Purple Star Academy. They also lost to the Blazing Academy because the Thunder Academy didn't send out their main force. That match, Yu Tianxin didn't go up. The main reason was that the Godwind Academy was too sneaky. When they fought with the Thunder Academy, they deliberately targeted Yu Tianxin and didn't care about the other 6. This caused Yu Tianxin to be injured, and she had to recuperate for several days before she could go up. And during those 2 days, they just happened to meet the Blazing Academy. Obviously, the Godwind Academy did it on purpose. Therefore, Yu Tianxin learned her lesson when she met the Purple Star Academy. She simply admitted defeat. Otherwise, if she was injured again, the gains wouldn't make up for the losses. The referee looked at the 2 teams and said in a deep voice, "Line up and salute." The leaders of the 2 teams walked out one after another. You don't plan to use your martial soul fusion technique? Yu Tianxin looked at Dai Mubai and said indifferently, "Why didn't that girl go up? Are you looking down on us?" It could be seen that they had a deep understanding of the Shrek Academy, even if Wang Feng only went up once. They also remembered the Thunder Academy very clearly. Now that they saw Wang Feng go up, they naturally understood. No, it's because they think too highly of you that our monster captain went up. Dai Mubai revealed a strange smile. What do you mean? Yu Tianxin frowned and said, "Isn't his strongest point the martial soul fusion technique with that girl? Otherwise, is it possible that an auxiliary-type soul master like him can change the strength of your team? Defeat our Thunder Academy?" Yu Tianxin was extremely afraid of the martial soul fusion technique of the 2. In that state, Yu Tianxin wouldn't be able to resist Zhu Zhuqing for long. You'll know soon. Dai Mubai cupped his fists and introduced his team before retreating. Yu Qianxin coldly snorted and also cupped his fists. Martial soul activation. Match start. As the referee's voice fell, the 7 people led by Yu Qianxin instantly revealed their martial souls. Chapter 355. Purplish-blue lightning flickered around the 7 of them, and with Yu Qianxin at the center, an imposing aura shot into the sky and spread out in all directions. The spectators who were a little closer felt a slight static electricity. In a flash, the 7 from Thunder Academy were ready to go. Thunder rumbled, and just by standing there, they gave off an indescribable pressure. Thunder itself was the power of the heavens. Thunder attribute martial souls, in addition to strong attack power and paralyzing effects, also had a special might. Even soul masters of the same level would be slightly suppressed. If it was only one person, the suppression might not be obvious. However, if there were 7 lightning-attributed martial spirits, they would form a special suppressive force. Wang Feng understood this point. It was like a set of self-propelled chess, where a set of 7 people would have a special effect. This was also the reason why the Elemental Academy walked the ultimate style. Every Elemental Academy's 7 people would more or less have a special effect on the enemy. But Shrek Academy's actions made everyone's jaws drop. With the exception of Wang Feng, everyone else took a step back. Everyone. Were they trying to learn 9 to 1? But what happened next made everyone even more shocked. The blue-silver grass in Tang San's hand suddenly bloomed, and countless purplish-black vines didn't attack Thunder Academy's team. Instead, they quickly wrapped the 6 of them into a huge cocoon. Only a small gap was left, as if it was left for Wang Feng. Everyone. Thunder Academy. What were they trying to do? At this moment, the entire audience was stunned. Even the people in the VIP seats were shocked. They didn't understand what kind of trick Shrek Academy was trying to play. The 6 of them used blue-silver grass to turtle up, leaving only Wang Feng outside. Yu Qianxin felt strange. A trap. It must be a trap. Lei Ming said in a deep voice, "Captain, we can't rashly go forward. With our understanding of Shrek Academy, they would never do such a brainless thing. Leaving an auxiliary-type soul master outside? This is even stranger than Purple Star Academy's situation." Yu Qianxin furrowed her brows. Such a strange action could easily arouse one's suspicions. At this moment, a red lotus blossomed in Wang Feng's palm, and his pitch-black soul ring was as dazzling as ever. Wang Feng didn't know why Yu Qianxin didn't attack, but it didn't matter. The scarlet lotus petals were covered with faint icicles, but the red lotus was still very beautiful. Wang Feng slowly infused his soul force into the red lotus. Then, he used his other hand to gently pluck a glowing lotus petal. Everyone looked at Wang Feng in shock, not knowing what he was going to do. Right at this time, Wang Feng put this lotus petal on the tip of his finger, lightly flicking it towards Thunder Academy's people. The scarlet lotus petals with specks of icy blue streaked across the air like meteors, drifting over like catkins. Then, Wang Feng walked into the huge cocoon formed by the blue-silver grass. The last gap was quickly closed up. What the hell? Lei Dong let out a low roar and possessed his thunder spider, martial soul. His second yellow soul ring lit up, and he flicked his 5 fingers. A streak of purple lightning shot towards the petal of the red lotus. Although they didn't know what the problem was, they were very cautious and wouldn't let this thing get close to them. However, just as the streak of lightning came into contact with the red lotus within the cocoon, a low voice sounded in the ears of Tang San and the others. Explode. In the next moment, the lotus petal was like an atomic explosion, blossoming with boundless light. At the center of the light, a scorching and icy aura formed a terrifying shockwave. With an imposing aura that could tear everything apart, the entire stage exploded in the blink of an eye. Rumble. A mushroom cloud formed by ice and fire slowly rose into the air above the stage that was less than 100 meters wide. Even the spectators, who were several hundred meters away from the stage, could clearly feel the 2 enormous waves of heat and cold. Terrifying icicles and scorching flames ignited the entire stage. The ground of the stage was directly pierced by the icicles that exploded. One could imagine how powerful it was. Even Tang, San, and the others, who were inside the cocoon, could clearly feel it. Countless icicles hit the blue-silver grass like hailstones. Due to the immense power of the explosion, the icicles even penetrated the blue-silver grass. Although Tang San's blue-silver grass was immune to ice, it was immune to ice energy. The icicles were an attack caused by the explosion. It was a pure physical attack and couldn't be immune to it. The icicles made whooshing sounds and cut through the cocoon formed by Tang San's blue-silver grass. He had already wrapped 2 layers of blue-silver grass around it, but it was still pierced by the icicles caused by the terrifying explosion. Through the gap, a scorching hot aura slowly spread in. Fortunately, the flames outside didn't burn the blue-silver grass. Otherwise, the cocoon would have been instantly blown apart. What is this? It's so terrifying? Jiangzhu was hiding at the back of the group. Many icicles had directly shot in. Wang Feng's second soul skill, Ice Flame Furious Lotus. You can also call it Ice Flame Lotus Explosion. Dai Mubai whispered. It's a terrifying soul skill that has a large area of effect and is indiscriminate. Once released, even teammates won't be spared. I hope those people from Thunder Academy don't get hurt. The explosive power of the fusion of ice and fire is indeed very strong. Tang San quickly used his blue-silver grass to repair the gap pierced by the icicles as he said in a low voice, and it doesn't differentiate between friend and foe, don't worry. Wang Feng continued. I controlled it a little. The Ice Flame Furious Lotus just now only had about 80% of its power. The people from Thunder Academy won't be seriously injured. Furthermore, the huge impact of the explosion was enough to send them flying out of the stage. If they reacted quickly and left the stage, they might not be injured. Tai Long glanced at Wang Feng and finally understood why Wang Feng was a monster captain. It was because he had never seen his opponent's soul skill before. Now that he saw it for the first time, the shock was simply unimaginable. At this moment, outside the stage, countless people were already dumbstruck. Those icicles made ear-piercing sounds as they landed on the stage. The heat wave that assaulted everyone's senses, as well as the 2-colored mushroom cloud that rose into the air, caused everyone's hearts to tremble. How terrifying was this power? What kind of soul skill was this? In the VIP seats, the group of people were also dumbstruck. This kind of explosive soul skill with such a large area of effect and such terrifying power, and it even had 2 types of attacks. Wasn't this too abnormal? Only at this moment did everyone understand. Why did Shrek Academy's Tang San create a huge cocoon from the start and wrap everyone up? It turned out that it was to prevent them from injuring themselves. That huge purplish-black cocoon was also quickly penetrated by the explosion. Fortunately, the fire-resistant blue-silver grass wasn't burned to ashes. Amidst the explosion of ice and fire, 7 figures were sent flying out of the arena by the shockwave of the explosion. Fortunately, these 7 people formed a special defensive formation and erected a huge defensive light barrier. It was clearly the soul skill of that purple lightning staff soul master. However, it was only barely able to resist this explosion. Chapter 356. The 7 of them were covered in icicles and were clearly injured. Fortunately, they reacted quickly and their injuries weren't serious. However, their faces were extremely pale. Fortunately, Yu Qianxin reacted quickly and formed a defensive formation. The 7 of them combined their strength and used the purple lightning staff to help the Soul Master release the myriad lightning barrier. Otherwise, the 7 of them would have been injured, and heavily injured. The myriad lightning barrier was a special combination skill similar to Huowu's Fire Dance Dazzling Sunday. It required many Soul Masters to use it. After being blasted out of the stage, countless icicles and scorching flames shot out from the stage. After another 10 seconds or so, the sound of the explosion slowly disappeared, revealing the extremely damaged stage. The arena was filled with icicles that pierced the ground. Blazing flames burned on the arena, causing the entire arena to look like a purgatory on earth. Fear appeared in the eyes of the seven. They weren't the only ones. All the spectators had fear in their eyes. Isn't this soul skill's lethality too terrifying? If a soul master's soul power was slightly lower, they wouldn't be able to survive, right? One soul skill, it's just one soul skill. At this moment, the blue-silver grass formed by Tang sand slowly dissipated, revealing the pale-faced people inside. When they saw the scene on the stage, their faces turned even paler. It's like an abstract painting. Wang Feng glanced at the stage and suddenly covered his head with his hand. He seemed to feel that his soul power wasn't enough. Little San, support me. Tang Xin was stunned. He knew that Big Brother Feng was acting, so he supported Wang Feng. At this moment, the referee climbed up from below the stage with an ugly expression. As the referee, he was actually on a high platform at the edge of the stage. It was considered a very safe position. Furthermore, he was also a Soul King. But just now, the explosion was too terrifying, and the speed of the explosion was too fast. He almost instinctively jumped down. Shrek, Academy wins. The referee glanced at Wang Feng with a hint of fear in his eyes. The instant his voice fell, the silent crowd went into an uproar. Too strong. A single soul skill directly defeated Thunder Academy. Is it really possible for a rank 45 soul master to possess such a terrifying area of effect soul skill? A soul skill with such a large area of effect was something that not even a rank 60 soul emperor would be able to do. Furthermore, the strength of this soul skill was extremely terrifying. In the VIP seats, Ning Fengji was also stunned. Who would have thought that it would be a battle of soul skills? What a powerful soul skill, Gu Rong said with a low voice. If this level of soul skill was used on the battlefield, the destructive power would be too terrifying. That arena was 100 meters in diameter, completely covering it. The explosion would bring about an indiscriminate two-attribute attack. Soul Masters under rank 50 would find it hard to resist at all. If not for Thunder Academy reacting in time, there would have been no lack of serious injuries. Is this his 10,000 years soul skill? Is this kid's strongest ability really his support ability? Gu Rong was a little suspicious. To put it bluntly, with just this soul skill alone, this brat could become a strategic level soul master of the Empire. One had to know that soul skills would become stronger as a soul master's rank increased. He was already so powerful at rank 45. What if he became a titled Douluo? If this child becomes a titled Douluo, he won't be inferior to the old poison. Gu Rong said with a voice transmission. The old poison was naturally the poisoned Bo. Gu Rong knew him and had a good relationship with him. Wang Feng, this person definitely can't be an auxiliary-type soul master. Sokka's expression was a little heavy. I haven't seen anyone with such a powerful soul skill, even among rank 60 soul masters. However, looking at his situation, he shouldn't be able to use such a powerful soul skill continuously. He can only use it once or twice at most. He was observant and naturally saw that Wang Feng was being supported by Tang San. Wang Feng's face was pale, as if he had been hollowed out. The snowy Night Emperor's eyes flickered, but he didn't say anything. I don't believe it. Ning Fengji laughed secretly. During their first confrontation, Ning Fengji was defeated by Wang Feng's verbal attacks. He couldn't find any loopholes to cause trouble. With this brat's craftiness? I think so too. This brat is cunning and extremely smart. He must be faking it. I estimate that he can use this soul skill at least 7 or 8 times. Gu Rong transmitted to Ning Fengji. Ning Fengji smiled, but didn't say anything. He wouldn't say this to Bishop Sokka's. This child doesn't know how big of a surprise he'll bring me. Ning Fengji sighed softly. He's only appeared twice, and each time was more shocking than the last. Why is his soul skill so powerful? In the spectator stands, Lu Erlong was also astonished. Generally, large-scale soul skills aren't very powerful. His soul skill not only has a large area, but it's also very powerful. Even from so far away, I can feel the two waves of cold and hot air intertwining. Even a 10,000-year soul skill isn't so exaggerated, right? With her rank, she could naturally feel the power of this soul skill more accurately. It's gotten stronger again. Zhao Wuji shook his head. It's much stronger than we bombed me. It seems like his fourth soul ring isn't simple either. Every additional soul ring not only brings a new soul skill, but also improves the other soul skills. The Grandmaster thought that with a 60,000-year soul ring, Lin Feng's soul skills would probably improve by leaps and bounds. It was just that he didn't know how many times he could use this soul skill. Lin Feng looks like he's exhausted. If he's pretending, he can use this soul skill more than 10 times. If he's not pretending, he can use it 4 or 5 times at least. Flinder had some understanding of Wang Feng's personality. That goes without saying. I'm guessing he's definitely pretending. Zhao Wuji said casually, when he used this soul skill to bomb me, he used it more than 10 times. The Grandmaster smiled. The teachers had some understanding of Wang Feng's personality. After all, they had known each other for almost 2 years. Tang San supported Wang Feng and brought the rest of the people back. As for the 7 people from Thunder Academy, although their expressions were extremely gloomy, they had nothing to say about their loss. There was only shock and deep vigilance in their hearts. Although the qualifiers were about to end, many academies remembered Wang Feng again. They even secretly remembered that they absolutely couldn't treat him as an auxiliary-type soul master. This single soul skill was enough to decide the outcome of a battle. It didn't seem inferior to a 9-to-1 chance. Who dared to look down on him? An auxiliary-type soul master? Fortunately, Wang Feng's acting was on point when he left. Many academies saw it clearly and heaved a sigh of relief. They all guessed that this soul skill couldn't be used consecutively, or even could only be used once. There were also some academies who guessed that he would suffer a certain backlash. After all, it was such a powerful and abnormal group attack soul skill. After Tang San and the rest returned to the lounge, the 4 substitutes still hadn't recovered from their shock. It was a bit like they were dreaming. As for the rest of the Shrek's 5 monsters, they were also amazed just now. Although they knew that Wang Feng's second soul skill would become stronger, they didn't expect it to become so strong. Originally, Tang San and the rest planned to wait for Wang Feng to finish using his second soul skill. Then they would go and defeat Thunder Academy, who still had some strength left. In the end, they didn't expect that a soul skill would directly solve the problem. They defeated Thunder Academy of the 5 great elemental academies just like that. Everyone was in disbelief. Shall we go back? Tang San coughed a few times and said. Wang Feng also nodded. Brother, wait. Aren't we going to watch the 9-to-1 match? At this time, Xiao Wu suddenly said. Match. Didn't Purple Star College's opponent admit defeat? Tang San was puzzled. Wasn't Purple Star College's opponent today an ordinary academy with 20 wins and 19 losses? Nope. Ning Rongrong shook her head. I just received news that the match went on as usual. This academy didn't admit defeat automatically. Hearing this, Tang San was shocked. Wang Feng was also a little shocked. Chapter 357. Wang Feng was a little surprised. He hadn't fought for 6 days in a row. Logically speaking, the following teams shouldn't have the guts to fight again. Wang Feng was happy that they didn't have to fight. He didn't expect to meet an academy that didn't admit defeat. This made Wang Feng feel a little surprised. If it were a famous elemental academy like Skywater Academy, Wang Feng could understand. If it were an academy with a good record and wanted to take a gamble, Wang Feng could also understand. But this trash academy that had lost 19 out of the 20 matches didn't admit defeat? Could it be that they were letting themselves go? My soul power is empty. I'll go back first. You guys can watch the match. Wang Feng coughed a few times. It's very interesting. This match is a little strange. Saying this, Wang Feng supported his head with his hand and walked out of the lounge, looking weak. Brother, Brother Feng only used his soul skill once. It shouldn't be like this, right? Xiao Wu looked at Wang Feng's back, puzzled. Tang San whispered, "Of course it's an act. That soul skill is too powerful." In order to not expose too much, Brother Feng pretended to be weak and let the other teams think that he could only use it once. Of course he has to put on show. If he goes back in high spirits now, wouldn't it be obvious that he's just pretending? Hearing this, everyone understood. Okay, let's go watch the match. This match gives me a strange feeling. Wang Feng learned the name of this team when he came to the Purple Star College Lounge, Yellow Spring Academy. Although there was no such thing as Yellow Spring in this world, Wang Feng still felt a little strange when he heard this name. A very weak team, Dean Fin said indifferently. To you, it'll only take a few seconds. The highest rank in their team is only 34, and the average rank is 32. Among the advanced academies in Heavendo City, they're much weaker than us. That's right, but this team didn't give up a single match. After Dean Fei Luan finished speaking, he passed the information to Wang Feng. This time, Wang Feng really did read it because he felt that it was a little strange. After reading it, "Isn't this too trashy?" Wang Fengxin was rendered speechless. After looking at the 7 members of the Yellow Springs Academy's team, not a single one of them was level 35. Among these 20-plus battle teams, they were truly the lowest ranked academy. No wonder their results were so bad. Furthermore, the quality of his martial soul wasn't high either. The best martial spirit that Wang Feng has seen is the bullhorn insect martial spirit. This is a type of insect martial spirit. Its defensive power is very strong, and it also has a certain amount of offensive power. It was a beast martial spirit with the highest quality among the 7. The rest were all rotten fish and shrimps. Wang Feng glanced at the information and led the 6 people into the ring. Perhaps it was because they were curious that there was still a school that dared to challenge Purple Star College, but the audience seemed to be somewhat excited. For the fans who hadn't seen 9-1 for a long time, they were naturally even happier. Although they all knew the result, with Joey leading the way, they would naturally cheer and be happy to see each other's figures. In the arena, even a referee was a little sleepy from hunger. He was so lazy that he couldn't rouse his spirits. Clearly, he was also speechless at the fact that such a weak academy had 9-to-1 ratio. He didn't have much interest in this. If it were any other elemental academy, there would be something worth watching. However, what was there to watch from such a weak academy? Not to mention 10 seconds, they probably wouldn't even last 4 or 5 seconds. Wang Feng also saw the members of Yellow Spring Academy. There were 5 males and 2 females. Their appearances and physiques were average, the kind that wouldn't be easy to find in a crowd. They didn't look very old, around 20 years old. The captain's martial spirit was the bullhorn insect martial spirit with the best quality. Begin. The referee lazily opened his mouth. After speaking, he retreated to the high platform at the side. At the same time, 5 of the 7 people from Yellow Spring Academy directly activated their martial souls and rushed towards Wang Feng. Behind them, 2 auxiliary-type soul masters were giving them buffs. Wang Feng was even more puzzled. He thought that these 7 people were hiding something. In the end, they just rushed over like this. The one in the lead was the captain. 3 of his soul rings lit up, and his entire person seemed to have turned into a bullhorn insect. An incomparably sharp horn grew from the top of his head, containing a layer of milky white light. The other 4 attacked at the same time. That's not right. With this little strength, there's no reason for them to fight. Wang Feng was puzzled. With the strength of these 5 people, not to mention him, even Dai Mubai could deal with them. He originally thought that they might have some hidden moves, but now it seemed that they were too weak. Seeing them attack, Wang Feng frowned slightly. His eyes flashed, and his black robe fluttered. With a light slap, he sent the captain flying. Following that, he sent the other 4 flying with a few more slaps. In the blink of an eye, all 5 of them were on the ground. Only the 2 auxiliary-type soul masters in the distance were left. We admit defeat. Hearing this, Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a strange light. This battle is a little strange. It's too strange. There's something wrong. Wang Feng thought about it from start to finish. These 7 people were from an ordinary academy. Their soul power was low, and their attacks were ordinary. Suddenly, his pupil shrank. He seemed to have thought of something. His heart trembled slightly. At this moment, the referee stretched his back and was about to announce the victory. But right at that moment, 2 female soul cultivators screamed, "What the hell are you doing? Someone is dead." Hearing this, the whole place went silent. Countless people in the audience trembled. The referee was also stunned. Suddenly, he turned around and walked over. He saw that the captain was lying on the ground. His eyes were white, and there was a slap on his chest. The referee walked over and checked. His heart sank. He was no longer breathing. Seeing the serious look on the referee's face, many people's hearts sank. There were rules in the tournament. No one was allowed to kill. Once that happened, they would be disqualified from the competition at the very least. Countless pairs of eyes suddenly looked at Jiu Yi. Still playing such dirty tricks? Scamming? Wang Feng's mouth twitched. With his control of his strength, that slap just now could at most send him flying. It was impossible to kill him. But in front of so many people, even if he had 10,000 mouths, he couldn't explain it. Wang Feng didn't expect that there would be such dirty tricks. Wang Feng didn't even need to think to know who it was. It must be the Martial Soul Hall or the Platinum Bishop, Sakas, who was behind this. The reason was simple. A few days ago, he rejected the invitations of various forces, including the Martial Soul Hall. In addition, his identity was mysterious. He didn't even agree to the basic contact. There was a high probability that it was the other party behind this. Wang Feng walked over, but halfway, he was stopped by the referee. Chapter 358. You can't go near them now, the referee said in a low voice. The referee said in a low voice, "You've already injured him. He died because his heart was broken. Your slap just now hit his chest." As he spoke, the referee opened his mouth. He felt that it was somewhat impossible. With 9-1 strength, there was no need to injure these people. The referee could vaguely guess what was going on, but it was useless. Wang Feng sneered silently and walked down the stage. In an instant, the crowd was in an uproar. This was the first time someone had died in a competition. Even if these students were trash, they were still elites in the academy. It was just that they were trash in comparison. However, once they died, someone would have to bear the responsibility. It could be said that the situation just now was witnessed by tens of thousands of pairs of eyes. This is a trap, right? 9-1's meeting to kill someone? On the spectator stand, Ma Hongjun did not mince his words. I see. I'm afraid this battle is a trap. I was wondering why such a weak team would dare to fight with 9-1. It turns out that someone set a trap for 9-1. What a sinister move. In this battle, unless 9-1 doesn't make a move, someone will definitely die. Those who died were definitely not killed by 9-1. Even Ma Hongjun could think of this. Naturally, the others could think of this as well. Purple Star College doesn't have any background. For them to be targeted like this, they must have offended some power. Oscar thought to himself, we have to be careful in the future. Otherwise, if we encounter such a situation. Previously, Master told us that there are many tricks in the competition. Assassinations are considered unorthodox. These dirty tricks are the most troublesome. I wonder if 9-1's meeting will disqualify them. Everyone fell silent. 9-1's strength had been deeply imprinted in the minds of all the teams. If such a powerful opponent was disqualified to many teams, this was a good thing. It was worth celebrating. In the VIP seats, the snowy Night Emperor's expression was somewhat ugly. This 9-1's meeting didn't seem to be light or heavy. Bishop Saka stood up and shook his head. Your Majesty, as a member of the organizing committee, I have the right to investigate. If the situation is true, shall we proceed according to the rules? The Snowy Night Emperor looked deeply at Bishop Sakas and nodded slightly. This Sakas is somewhat despicable. Gurong transmitted his voice. It might not have been Sakas who did it. It might have been one of his subordinates who did it. He wouldn't have gotten involved in something like this himself, lest others talk about it. Ning Fengji shook his head. But this method is indeed very despicable. At this moment, Ning Fengji stood up and said to the Snow Knight Emperor, I can help you with this. I'm also a member of the organizing committee. That's right, Bishop Sokka's. My Heaven-Do Empire is also one of the organizers of this tournament. Let Sect Master Ning go with you. The Snowy Knight Emperor said lightly. Upon hearing this, Bishop Sokka's frowned slightly and merely nodded without saying a word. Clearly, the Snow Knight Emperor had guessed something and wouldn't let him investigate alone. No matter what, 9-to-1 odds was from the Heaven-Do Empire, not the Martial Spear Hall. Soon, Sokka's and Ning Fengji, the investigation team of the organizing committee, along with the paladins of the Martial Soul Palace, walked towards the resting area where Purple Star College was located. Someone set a trap for you? In the resting area, Dean Fei Lun looked at 9-to-1 odds and said in a low voice, That person should have committed suicide, right? That slap of yours shouldn't have killed him. Nonsense, Wang Fengxin said coldly. Wang Feng knew that with 9-to-1 odds high profile, someone would definitely deal with him. However, he didn't expect that they would use such a despicable method. It was obvious that this situation could be defined in any way. You could say that you killed him or that he died because of his body. It all depended on what the other party said. To put it bluntly, whether you could continue with the tournament or not depended on the decision of the organizing committee. At this moment, a man suddenly walked in. He was wearing a mask. I have something to do. You guys go out first. The man walked in and said lightly. Who are you? Dean Fei Lun frowned as he looked at the man. The man walked in front of Dean Fei Lun and took out a token. Dean Fei Lun's eyes narrowed when he saw the token. He immediately left with his team members. Only 2 people were left in the resting area. 9-to-1 odds. The masked man glanced at Wang Feng and said lightly, You killed someone during the tournament. This means that you will be disqualified. With the background of Purple Star College, they won't be able to protect you. You might be caught by the organizing committee for interrogation. Later, the Knights Templar led by Bishop Salas will appear. It was normal for someone to be caught and interrogated after killing someone during the tournament. Aren't you going to say anything? The masked man's tone was clear, as if he wanted to hear Wang Feng's voice. After a while, Wang Feng said slowly, What does it have to do with you who you are? Hearing this, the masked man suddenly chuckled and asked, I can help you. I can help you solve this problem, but you need to answer me a question. What question? The masked man turned around and looked at Wang Feng. What's your relationship with Feng Yuxiu? Where is he? The masked man's voice was calm, but there were some fluctuations in it. After a long time, Wang Feng didn't answer. Why are you looking for him? Wang Feng's voice was low and emotionless. Hearing this, the masked man's body stiffened. Looks like you're really related to him. A strange light appeared in the masked man's eyes. If that's the case, as he spoke, the masked man congratulated Wang Feng. Wang Feng caught it and took a look. It was a token. This token was special. There was an image of a 6-winged angel on it. Other than that, there were 6 other images on the back. Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. 7 years ago, he had a similar token, but it wasn't as advanced as this one. When Bishop Salas arrives, give this to him. He won't dare to make things difficult for you. Right? Don't tell him who gave you this. The masked man said slowly, You and Feng Yuxiu are dressed the same, and your expressions are similar, but your attacks are completely different. There must be a special relationship between the 2 of you. Feng Yuxiu has saved me twice. This time, consider it as returning his life. I'll take back the token later. Saying so, the masked man turned around and left. When he was at the door, he suddenly asked, Do you know where Feng Yuxiu is now? He said that if someone is looking for him, we'll meet if fate wills it, Wang Feng replied. Hearing this, the masked man fell silent for a few seconds before leaving the lounge. Qianrenxue, Wang Feng stroked the token. This token. Chapter 359. Wang Feng didn't expect Qianrenxue to appear at this time. Fortunately, he didn't recognize him as Feng Yuxiu. This was normal because he didn't use the god-slaying spear, and his registered martial soul wasn't a spear, but an axe. He had fought so many matches, and his attacking methods were completely different from when he was in the Great Stardow Forest. From the beginning to the end, he only relied on the mysterious underworld spike. Not long after Qianrenshua left, the door was pushed open. A team of paladins dressed in silver rushed in, surrounding the entire room. Leading them were Bishop Salas and Ning Fengji. 9-1, you killed the captain of the Netherworld Academy, Mo Han, in the match just now. Do you know that? As soon as Bishop Salas entered, his sharp gaze swept across Ji Kai, as though he wanted to see through him. Ning Fengji frowned slightly and said, Bishop Salas, Mo Han's death might not have been caused by him. Besides, 9-1 has no enmity with him, and he has no motive to kill him. Isn't it a little inappropriate for you to say that Mo Han was killed by 9-1? But Mo Han did die because of him, Bishop Salas said indifferently. From this point of view, it can't be changed. Ning Fengji didn't say anything. This was the truth. No matter what, the captain of the Netherworld Academy died because of this. Moreover, Mo Han's body had been appraised just now. He died because his heart meridian was shattered. His heart meridian was shattered. It could be said that 9-1 killed him, but it could also be said that he committed suicide. He was already dead, and there was no way to confirm it. It all depended on what they said. 9-1 didn't have a motive to kill him, but what if it was an accident? 9-1, you have two choices now. Bishop Salas said indifferently. 1, you killed him by mistake, so you withdraw from the competition. 2, join the Martial Spirit Temple. In this case, Mo Han committed suicide, and it has nothing to do with you. You can continue with the competition. Of course, you can also ask Sect Master Ning to speak for you. A smile appeared on Bishop Salas' face. Ning Fengji glanced coldly at Bishop Salas. This platinum bishop was indeed not simple. He didn't expect him to play such a trick. If you don't choose, we can only capture you and interrogate you. Bishop Salas continued. After saying that, Bishop Sarah looked at the 9-1 opposite her. Ning Fengji was silent, as if he wanted to see what choice this mysterious 9 openings would make. No matter what, the initiative was on their side. Although Ning Fengji and Zhou Yikai had no enmity and even had a very deep impact on him, it was already good enough that he could say a few words for him at this time. Choice, Wang Feng said with a hoarse voice. My choice is for you to scram. As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, a ray of light shot out from Wang Feng's hand. The Holy Knights at the side thought that Wang Feng wanted to attack Bishop Salas and immediately surrounded him. That beam of light was dragged by Bishop Salas's hand and landed firmly in his hand. You want me to scram? A cold glint flashed across Bishop Salas's eyes. As the Platinum Bishop of the Martial Spirit Temple, someone actually dared to speak to him like this? It seemed that this 9-1 had really gone overboard. Did he think that he could rely on his winning streak to look down on everyone? Ning Fengji, who was standing at the side, also had a bad feeling. Looking at the situation, it was likely that Jiui would be taken away today. However, at the next moment, Ning Fengji saw that Bishop Salas was suddenly stunned. Ning Fengji's heart skipped a beat as he looked at the item that Jiui had thrown at him. He was also stunned when he saw it. There were 6 images on that token, representing 6 title Dalu. On the other side, there was an image of a 6-winged angel. Seeing this token, Ning Fengji couldn't help but take a deep breath. With his knowledge, he could naturally recognize it. This is an Elder's token. In the Martial Spirit Temple, the Pope was nominally the highest authority. However, there was another Elder's Hall other than the Pope, where several titled Dalu elders were worshipped. The Elder's Hall had a certain amount of authority over the Pope's decisions. It was the true center of power in the Martial Spirit Temple. Why do you have an Elder's token? Sakas waved his hand at the dozen or so Templars who had surrounded him. Get out of my way. There were 7 elders in the Elder's Hall. They didn't completely listen to the Pope and had a lot of authority. Do you need to know? Jiui Kai said plainly. I picked it up. Bishop Salas broke out in cold sweat. This isn't an ordinary Elder's token. This should be that person's token. Why is it in his hands? Picked it up? How can you pick it up from a titled Douluo? Salas naturally wouldn't believe such nonsense. However, since this person had such a token, He had to be someone from the Elders' Hall. Even though he was a platinum bishop, he was far from the true center of power. Naturally, he didn't dare to do anything. Sorry to disturb you. Bishop Salas handed the token to Wang Feng respectfully. After that, he didn't say anything else and left with his men. What a joke. If I knew he was from the Elders' Hall, I wouldn't have dared to find trouble with him. Ning Fengji took a deep look at Wang Feng. This Joey Kai is getting more and more mysterious. Could he be from the Martial Spirit Temple? Furthermore, this is an Elder's token. I've never heard of an Elder from the Martial Spirit Temple. Could he be a descendant of a titled Douluo? Ning Fengji turned and left with many doubts. After a while, the masked man returned to the room and took back the token. She couldn't really give this kind of token to him. After taking back the token, the masked man left without saying a word. This Qianren Xue is interesting. Wang Fengxin thought to himself. Of course, he could guess who that token belonged to. Other than that rank 99 exceptional Doa, the great consecrator of the Elders' Hall, there was no one else. At the same time, he was also the grandfather of Qianren Xue. Although I also have a way to turn the situation around, Qianren Xue has taken the initiative to appear and give me an additional illusory background. That's not bad. Wang Fengxin couldn't help but chuckle. He had a hidden trump card. He didn't know whether that team leader was dead or not, but he had left some soul power in his opponent's body. This soul power was the power of the Golden Lotus. Just in case, when he fought with everyone in the arena, as long as there was contact, he would leave a trace of it behind to prevent accidents from happening. Even if his opponent died, as long as Wang Feng found his body later and used the power of the Golden Lotus, he could even revive him temporarily. However, doing so would be easy to expose and arouse suspicion. On the other hand, Qianren Xue's appearance would add another layer of illusory background and identity to his 9-1 odds. This would make his future path in the competition much smoother. Of course, it would be different if he went to the Pope's Hall. No matter what, this matter was over. It seemed that although Qianren Xue didn't watch the matches in person, she was probably aware of the situation of every match. Chapter 360. The next day, the organizing committee announced that the captain of the Netherworld Academy had died of an old illness and was not killed by 9. As soon as the announcement was made, many spectators heaved a sigh of relief. Although many of them had guessed that there was a problem and that someone had deliberately set a trap for 9. They wanted to expel the powerful 9 from the competition. Many of the audience members were extremely angry. They felt that this was a covert operation, and they were making a lot of noise. Fortunately, as soon as the announcement was made, the competition immediately returned to its original track. They were also somewhat stunned. Although this was an obvious trap, a life had indeed been lost. Many people were angry, but also helpless. They all thought that even if 9 was not disqualified, the following matches would be delayed. Then, they would not be able to get out of the group stage. They did not expect such an announcement to be made the next day. Many teams even faintly felt that it was a little strange. I'm afraid 9's background is not simple. This speculation caused many of the restless factions to quieten down. They did not dare to cause any more trouble. Soon, the qualifiers came to an end. Wang Feng did not participate in the following matches. After the incident with the Netherworld Academy, no team dared to face him. However, it was interesting until the second last day of the qualifiers. Shrek Academy versus Skywater Academy. Wang Feng thought that there would be no accidents in this match, but the result was greatly beyond his expectations. Shrek Academy lost. To be precise, they lost miserably. Only 3 main members, Tang San, Dai Mubai, Xiao Wu, and 4 substitutes fought. They lost. Wang Feng did not watch the entire match because he thought that there would be no suspense in this match. Although the 5 elemental academies were much stronger than in the original work, the current Tang San and the others were also much stronger than in the original work. It was impossible for them to lose. However, Wang Feng did not expect Tang San and the others to lose. The reason was very simple. The captain of the Skywater Academy, Shui Bing was extraordinarily strong. So far, she had fought less than Wang Feng. She had only fought once. That was the match against Shrek, and the previous captain was not Shui Bing at all. In other words, Shui Bing had been observing from the substitute seats for more than 20 matches. She was using her own body double. He was only a rank 43 control-type Soul Master. She herself was a rank 47 control-type Soul Master. This level of strength had only been revealed during the fight against Shrek. When Wang Feng heard this, he was really shocked. That's quite deep. Wang Feng felt a headache coming on. The 5 Great Elemental Academies and the 5 Great Elemental Academies in the original work have changed to varying degrees. The Elephant Armor Sect's variant Martial Soul, the Divine Wind Squad's Special Cloud Array, and the Blazing Academy's Infernal Inferno. I didn't expect the Skywater Academy to have such a big change. Wang Feng remembered that in the original novel, Icy Water was a very intelligent girl. She was also the youngest girl in the Tianshui battle team. Who would have thought that he would use a similar method to hide his identity and strength, only revealing himself at the end? We did not lose unjustly. Tang San shook his head. I didn't expect her to be so powerful. She has super strong control abilities, and she even has a group control soul skill that is not inferior to my blue-silver cage. Her first soul skill, Freeze, can lock onto me immediately. It's an instant skill, which is a big problem for me. An instant skill meant that Tang San could not even use Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to dodge it. Most importantly, she also has the ability to fly. Dai Mubai said in a deep voice. She is also the only one in the Skywater Academy who has the ability to fly. Her martial soul is a variant of the Ice Phoenix, the Azure Divine Phoenix. It is even stronger than Fatty's Fire Phoenix. Hearing this, Wang Feng was slightly startled. Fatty's Evil Fire Phoenix had become a real Fire Phoenix after eating the immortal herb. If he could find a girlfriend in the future and cultivate together with her, his martial spirit would become even stronger. Although he hadn't found a partner yet, his martial spirit was already one of the top beast martial spirits. It was not inferior to Dai Mubai's White Tiger. Azure Divine Phoenix? Wang Feng frowned. Does it have both ice and wind elemental attacks? Yes. Xiao nodded. This icy water is too strong. She has an extremely strong flying ability and is not inferior to the flying-type soul masters of the Divine Wind Academy. When the match started, she directly rose 40 meters into the air and used her freeze soul skill on me. Then, she used a large-scale world of ice and snow to change the terrain. After the terrain changed, the temperature of the stage dropped rapidly and the ground became very slippery. Do you still remember Zhuo Qing after using her soul fusion skill that day? It was similar to that. Boss Dai and I can still move in this terrain, but our agility is greatly reduced. Xiao Wu tilted her head and thought. But the opponent's agility-type soul master can move more agilely in this terrain, as if he was born to move in this environment. Changing the terrain. Another team that can change the terrain. Wang Fengxin's heart trembled. The Blazing Academy was able to defeat the Thunder Academy not only because Yu Qianxin wasn't there, but also because they could change the terrain. This was because different elements were different in different environments, so it was difficult to display their effects. This was also why the Divine Wind Academy had clouds and mist. This was also the terrain, but it was in the sky. When they used this terrain, the only offensive soul skill that could threaten them on the ground would be completely useless. This was the strength of the Elemental Academy's terrain. Although Little Three's body was immune to water, he couldn't be immune to ice. He could only be immune to the cold air brought about by ice. Once Little Three was targeted and controlled by water ice, he wouldn't have any chance to escape. Obviously, you guys have been studied. Wang Feng shook his head and said, you guys didn't lose unjustly. With only 3 main members, it was impossible to defeat the opponent. The most important thing is that you guys don't know anything about water ice. Wang Feng really didn't expect that there would be so many variables in this competition. Since the beginning of the Elephant Armor sect, it had been changing. Perhaps because of Jiu Yi's participation, the original trajectory of the competition had been disturbed. The 5 Elemental Academy's terrain control, their respective mysterious, mutated martial souls, and their familiar research methods of concealing their identities. There were too many variables. Wang Feng couldn't help but wonder how much the Star Luo Empire and Martial Soul Hall's teams would change after they entered the finals. I feel that the Skywater Academy should be the strongest among the 5 Elemental Academies, provided that Water Ice is on the field. Tang Xin thought for a while. I wanted to use the 8 Spider Spear in the end, but after thinking about it, I didn't because I had no chance of winning. It's better to keep this a secret to prevent others from finding out. Hearing this, Wang Feng suddenly asked, "Have you guys seen their Martial Soul Fusion skill? Ice Snow Drift." Chapter 361. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. What the hell? Martial Soul Fusion skill? Skywater Academy has a Martial Soul Fusion skill? Seeing everyone's expression, Wang Feng secretly shook his head. It seemed that the other party didn't even use a Martial Soul Fusion skill. I heard that Skywater Academy has a Martial Soul Fusion skill, Wang Feng explained. Everyone was stunned. If Skywater Academy had a Martial Soul Fusion skill, how strong would it be? Do they have a trump card? But thinking about it, Shrek still had so many trump cards, so it was normal for Skywater Academy to have one too. Tang Xin shook his head. If I hadn't forcibly broken the ice at the last moment and rushed into the air with the help of the blue-silver grass, we might not even have seen Shui Bing Er's martial soul. Tang San furrowed his brows. They released a soul skill like a protective barrier at the beginning, which made us unable to break through it for the time being. As Shui Bing was the first to enter the air, her entire body was covered in a hazy mist, and even her martial soul was not very clear. But we were really careless. If we could have 3 more people, we should have a chance to defeat Skywater Academy. Even so, Shrek Academy could be considered to have advanced. Purple Star, Divine Wind, Skywater, Shrek, and Blazing Fire. Actually, I have a faint feeling that this Shui Binger is not as simple as we thought. Tang San whispered. When I used the blue-silver grass to rush into the air, my purple demon eyes could have brought a spiritual attack to Shui, but she didn't seem to be affected. I was a little surprised at that time, and then I was directly hit by Shui Binger. In addition to breaking illusions, the purple demon eyes also had the effect of a spiritual attack. Tang Xin had used it when he was under the pressure of the Herculean Titan, and the Titan was stunned for a few seconds. It was effective even against Soul Douluo, but it was ineffective against Shui Binger. It could be immune to spiritual attacks? Wang Fengxin thought that if it wasn't a special effect of the martial soul, then there was only one possibility. Possessing the skull soul bone. If he had the Black Banded skull soul bone, he would be completely immune to Tang San's spiritual attack. Spirit was related to one soul, and had little to do with the strength of one soul power. Although he hadn't seen the battle, Wang Feng was somewhat curious. It seemed that this Skywater Academy had the most changes among the 5 elemental students. The core of it all was this Shui Binger. Her mutated martial soul was not inferior to any of the 7 freaks. In terms of quality, it was almost the same as the mutated Zhu Zhuqing's Yu Elf. However, Zhu Zhuqing had eaten immortal herbs before. If she wasn't born this way, then she must have had a fortuitous encounter. At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door of the lounge, and a clear voice sounded. "Can I come in?" Hearing this, everyone turned around and saw a cute girl with sky-blue hair, wearing a watercolored outfit and a delicate face. At this moment, she was standing outside the door, staring at them with her big, watery eyes. Tang Xin walked over and opened the lounge's door. He smilingly said, "You're Shui Bing, right? What can I do for you?" "Me? I'm looking for him." Shui Yu looked at Dai Mubai, her eyes twinkling. Dai Mubai coughed a few times. Just now, during the competition, this girl had been looking at him for a while. However, he had been focusing on his cultivation recently and didn't have time to provoke girls, so he got over it. Why are you looking for me?" Dai Mubai stood up and asked. "To thank you. and then I'll treat you to a meal. Shui Yu covered her mouth and snickered. You seem to have held back just now. Otherwise, even if we won, I would have been injured. I'm an agility-type soul master, and I was in charge of restraining you just now. Hearing this, everyone sighed. Boss Dai, you're good. Ma Hongjun used his elbow to poke Dai Mubai's shoulder. Did you hold back just now? You lost the competition, but won your life. This is very profitable. Hurry up. She still wants to treat you to a meal. Dai Mubai thought for a moment. He hadn't flirted with a girl for a long time, and he was actually a little embarrassed, especially when he looked at Shui Yu's pure and sincere eyes. No problem. Let's go outside first. Dai Mubai's heart was moved. Okay. Shui Yu walked into the room and suddenly looked at Wang Feng. She pursed her lips and smiled. You're Wang Feng, right? My sister said that Shrek Academy only sent 3 people, and that it's a little unfair. If there's a chance, I hope that you can send all of your main force and fight with us. Especially you. Wang Fengxin thought. If the main force of Shrek's 7 monsters went up, Skywater Academy's chances of winning weren't high, but it wasn't impossible. If I go up, then there's no chance at all. If there's a chance, Wang Feng said politely. Shui Yu nodded and walked out with Dai Mubai. Seeing the two walk out side by side, Wang Fengxin felt a little complicated. He seemed to have a vague feeling, and he subconsciously looked in a certain direction. He also happened to see Zhu Zhuqing looking at him. Their gazes once again met in the air, and then they looked away. It seems that Boss Dai will soon be single, Ma Hongjun sighed. I wonder when my future girlfriend will come into my arms. Everyone listened to Ma Hongjun sigh and couldn't help but laugh. All right, the next match is tomorrow, the last day of the qualifiers. It's Skywater Academy versus Purple Star College. At this time, the master walked in from outside and slowly said, I watched your match today. You didn't lose unjustly. I previously advised you to admit defeat and give up. However, you can look forward to tomorrow's match. Hearing this, everyone's heart trembled. Skywater Academy versus Purple Star College. This meant that, were they going to face that man? The group discussed excitedly as they went to eat. Even after they finished eating, they still didn't come to a conclusion. Would Skywater Academy admit defeat and give up? Because for Skywater Academy, admitting defeat and giving up was the best choice. Because even if they won, their ranking wouldn't change. Purple Star College would lose at most 1 match and still be in first place. Even if they lost, it wouldn't change anything. The group thought that Skywater Academy would choose to give up and admit defeat. Only Tang San thought that Skywater Academy might fight, and the reason was very simple. Shui Bing isn't the kind of person who will back down. I feel that she is somewhat similar to me. Even if the chance is not big, as long as there is a chance, we will fight. Unless there is no chance at all, or we want to hide our strength. Tang San said, the reason why we conceded defeat to the Godwind Academy and the Purple Star Academy was to preserve our strength. However, as long as there is an opportunity, such as the Thunder Academy or the Skywater Academy, we will definitely fight them. I think that since Shui Bing has shown up, she will also try. The group couldn't analyze it. Wang Feng didn't care. If they fought, then they fought. If they didn't, then they didn't. However, this Skywater Academy might be a little tricky. Because of Shui Bing's change, he didn't prepare a good strategy. He could only rely on improvisation. It wasn't until dusk that Dai Mubai came back and said to everyone with a smile, Shui Bing told me that Skywater Academy will try to break the legend of 9-1. They will definitely fight. Chapter 362. Dai Mubai's words startled everyone, but it was within reason. Boss Dai, she even told you about this. It's only been an afternoon, and you two are already together? Ma Hongjun chuckled and walked over. Did you find out any useful information? Did you find out about the martial soul fusion skill that Captain mentioned? How long would it take for Shui Yu to treat Dai Mubai to a meal? An entire afternoon. It definitely wasn't just a meal. They probably went shopping or something. Otherwise, Dai Mubai wouldn't have asked about this. Dai Mubai shook his head. How can I find out about this? Will you tell others about our trump cards and secrets? We have to have professional ethics, okay? It's already good enough that she told me about this. I was just asking casually. Ma Hongjun scratched his head. Boss Dai, don't tell me you've really hooked up with her? Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but look at Dai Mubai. After all, ever since they started training a year ago, both Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjun were completely different from when they were in Soto City. The two of them didn't go to brothels anymore. Especially after consuming the immortal herb, they were even more chaste. What do you mean hooked up? Don't make it sound so bad. Dai Mubai glared at Ma Hongjun. This is love at first sight. Fatty, I see that the meat on your body has been a little loose recently. Let me help you train. As he spoke, he walked towards Ma Hongjun. Seeing this, Ma Hongjun ran off, and the two of them disappeared like smoke. Everyone couldn't help but laugh, but they also felt a little emotional. Boss Dai seems to be serious this time. Xiao Wu giggled. I haven't seen this smelly tiger so serious in a long time. Everyone nodded in agreement. Shui Yuer's talent isn't low either. She's rank 41 now, which is quite suitable for Mubai. Although she's a little lacking compared to her sister, I suspect that her sister might have had a fortuitous encounter like us. Tang San thought for a moment. For example, an immortal herb? Or did he obtain some special soul ring? Otherwise, with his strength and age, he wouldn't be any weaker than us. She was about the same age as Dai Mubai. Shui Yu was probably a little younger than Dai Mubai. If the seven freaks hadn't consumed the immortal herb, then at Shui Yuer's age, their soul power wouldn't have been much higher. Hearing this, Wang Fengxin was slightly moved. If a normal martial soul was an innate mutation, then there was nothing much to say. But if it was an acquired mutation, there were too many factors. For example, the immortal grass could mutate the martial soul. Shui Bing Er's strength was far beyond Wang Feng's imagination. Even her soul power rank was far higher than his. Although she was 2 years older than Tang San and the others, it was impossible for her soul power to be so much higher. Similarly, Dai Mubai was only level 45, and that was only because he had consumed the singular velvet sky connecting chrysanthemum. Tang San's analysis was not wrong. There's another possibility, which is that her talent is too strong. Tang San thought that no matter how strong her talent was, she could only have innate full soul power. He himself had innate full soul power, and so did Brother Feng. Brother Feng didn't mention it. If he hadn't encountered the ice-fire Yin Yang well, he would probably still be in the 30s. It was impossible to just have strong talent. There's no need to analyze anymore. We'll know tomorrow. Oscar said with a smile that Joey will fight against Skywater Academy. Naturally, we'll be able to see something. Everyone nodded slightly. Wang Fengxin thought that it was true. After he fought with Shui Bing tomorrow, he should know. However, Wang Fengxin still carried a lot of doubts in his mind as he came to the next day. It was also the last day of the qualifiers. According to the competition rules, the qualified teams were completely fixed at this time. Therefore, in today's competition, many teams were just going through the motions. They fought very quickly and ended very quickly as well. However, the one and only match was extremely eye-catching. It seemed that in order to put a perfect end to the qualifiers, the organizing committee had specially arranged this match on the last day. What made countless spectators even more excited was that Skywater Academy didn't admit defeat. Heaven-Do City's Great Soul Arena, Central Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to welcome the last match of the qualifiers. Although the qualifiers have been fixed, I think today's match is the most interesting one. The host in the air explained in a loud voice amidst the tsunami-like cheers. As we all know, there are two big dark horses in this qualifier in my Heaven-Do City. One is Purple Star College, and the other is Shrek Academy. But as a veteran powerhouse, Skywater Academy seemed to have blossomed with a different light in this year's qualifiers. They are not weaker than these two dark horses at all. Yesterday, the appearance of Skywater Academy's captain, Shui Bing directly defeated one of the dark horses, Shrek Academy. And today, Purple Star College, who qualified in first place, will fight against Skywater Academy. I wonder if Joey successfully defended his undefeated throne? Or will Skywater Academy's Shui Bing create a new legend? Next, let's invite the two teams to enter the arena. As the host's voice faded away, the entire stadium erupted into even louder cheers. At this moment, because only these two teams were left, everyone was curious about who would win and who would lose. In particular, Skywater Academy's captain, Shui Bing officially entered the arena. Even the dark horse, Shrek Academy, was defeated by her. On the other side, Purple Star College, Joey, was now famous in Heavendo City. The result of this match against Skywater Academy was naturally very curious. From the beginning, Purple Star College was just a gimmick to attract people's attention. It seemed that they were really going to win the whole competition with Joey. This was shocking. No matter which team won, they would create a legend. The two teams slowly walked up to the arena from the passageway. The Skywater Academy had a uniform blue battle uniform, while the Purple Star Academy on the other side was still the same style that everyone was familiar with. However, what was special was that the battle attire of the Purple Star Academy had been completely changed into black robes. With the masked Joey as the team leader, they walked up to the arena. After walking up to the arena, the entire stadium quickly quieted down. It was as if a tsunami had turned into a calm sea in an instant. The referee also seemed to be a little excited. He looked at the two teams and said in a deep voice, "Line up and salute." Wang Feng slowly walked up and scanned the 7 people from Skywater Academy. He also saw Shui Bing. Her appearance was slightly similar to Shui Bing-er's, but it seemed that she had undergone some changes. Only a few similarities remained. In terms of appearance, Shui Bing was not as beautiful as Zhu Zhuqing or Rong Rong, but she was not far off. Furthermore, her features were soft and beautiful. The more one looked at her, the more beautiful she looked. Her eyes were slightly icy white, giving her a special charm. On the arena, at such a close distance, Shui Bing seemed to have sensed something from Wang Feng's perception. The icy white in her eyes slightly shrank. Strange, why does this Shui Bing have a familiar aura? Wang Feng was secretly surprised. In a chapter. Chapter 363. At this moment, Shui Bing was the first to speak. Skywater Academy, Shui Bing rank 47 control type Soul Master. Her soft voice was very pleasant to listen to. Purple Star Academy, 9, 1 chance, rank 45 Assault type Soul Master. After speaking, Wang Feng glanced at the 6 Soul Masters behind Shui Bing. Shui Yu Martial Soul, Cold Capybara, rank 41 Agility type Soul Master. Shui Wu, Martial Soul, Snow Jade Flower, rank 41 Auxiliary type Soul Master. Han Yin Martial Soul, Ice Shark, rank 39 Assault type Soul Master. Mo Ling, Martial Soul, Hexagonal Starfish, rank 42 Assault type Soul Master. Hai Sha Sha's Martial Soul was Water Coral, and she was a Class 39 Control type Soul Master. Yulong, Martial Soul, Diamond Water Shellfish, rank 39 Defense type Soul Master. 5 beautiful and charming girls. It was very different from the original Skywater Academy in Wang Feng's memory. But after looking at this lineup, Wang Feng finally knew why Tang San and the other 2 main forces were crushed. This was too different from what Wang Feng had imagined. No wonder Shui Bing didn't fight. They only lost to the God Wind Academy and the Thunder Academy. The God Wind Academy was unbeatable, and the Thunder Academy was somewhat restrained, just like how the Skywater Academy restrained the Blazing Academy. There's also a defense type Soul Master. Wang Feng took a deep breath. The opponent's lineup was not bad at all compared to the other 4 elemental academies. It was even more perfect. First of all, Wang Feng knew that the martial soul of the Diamond Water Shellfish was not very rare. Even the rest of the martial souls were the same. They were not the top rare martial souls. But these martial souls all had a characteristic. In an ice and snow environment, they would erupt with great power. Once they left the ice and snow environment, their strength would decrease. The specific performance would only be known after the fight. In contrast, The members of the Blazing Academy couldn't fight in a special environment like the fiery hell. If they fought in a high-temperature state, their strength would also increase. The 7 people of the Skywater Academy were not inferior to the configuration of the Shrek Academy. To a certain extent, their configuration was even more outstanding. Hexagonal Starfish. It should be a long-range attack-type martial soul. Wang Feng's mind flashed like lightning as he analyzed. Water coral grass is very tenacious in a snowy environment. It's only 1 grade lower than Little Three's blue-silver grass, and it's not inferior in a snowy environment. The snow jade flower is a special auxiliary martial soul, which is the key to the ice and snow environment. The diamond water shellfish is used for the opening defense, allowing people to detect their tactics and have a strong group protection effect. Wang Feng had only watched a few matches of the Skywater Academy, so he didn't know much about it. However, he still recognized most of the martial spirits. He could only make a judgment based on his martial soul. Then let the match begin. The referee looked at both sides. She didn't intend to say any provocative words, which was completely different from the previous Elemental Academy students. The moment the referee finished speaking, on the side of Sky Water Academy, the girl with the diamond water shell martial spirit, Yulong, immediately possessed her martial spirit, and a shell with a sparkling diamond luster appeared from her body, following which his third purple soul ring lit up. Then, the shell rapidly expanded, turning into a blue light screen that enveloped the 7 of them. Obviously, the tactic was very obvious. At the same time, when Yulong released her soul skill, the other 5 also quickly released their martial souls. The first to attack was Mo Ling with the hexagonal starfish martial soul. The yellow soul ring on her body lit up directly, and a starfish with a sparkling aqua sapphire luster rose from her body. After possessing her body, 3 more tentacles appeared behind Mo Ling's back, each of which emitted a hexagonal light ball. The ball of light in her hand immediately opened towards Wang Feng, like an arcane ball of light with an automatic navigation function. Soul skill, exploding starfish. A series of starfish blasted towards Wang Feng. Wang Feng's figure moved, and these fast attacks naturally hit him. However, the opponent was just a distraction. When Mo Ling released her martial skill, in the water screen wrapped by the diamond water shellfish, Shui Bing and Shui Wu also moved at the same time. With a loud and clear cry, Shui Bing jumped into the air, and a blue and green phoenix flashed on her body. It was Shui Bing's mutated martial soul, the Azure Divine Phoenix. The feathers of this phoenix flickered with the luster of morning water droplets. After possessing her body, her whole body was shrouded in a layer of azure cloud, making it difficult to detect. It was as if it had an anti-tracking function. Even her soul rings were covered by the green clouds, making it difficult for anyone to detect the soul skill she was using. And after possessing her body, a pair of ice-colored light wings grew on Shui Bing's back. The wings were hidden in the clouds, and occasionally her figure would appear just like a 9 heavens ice phoenix. This is a control type? Agility type? Wang Feng glanced at it and was a little speechless. Even a most basic ice phoenix was the top beast martial soul. After possessing her body, she would have strong combat power. Control was just an essential ability. Similarly, the burning effect of Fatty's Fire Phoenix was also an additional effect. The light wings on Shui Bing's back spread out, and the first soul ring on her body lit up directly. Immediately after, she flapped her wings, and a terrifying hurricane was released directly from her wings. At the same time, the soul ring on Shui Wu's body also lit up directly, and sparkling snowflakes quickly appeared in midair. An ice and snow environment was quickly formed, and it was a blizzard. At this moment, the third purple 1,000-year soul ring on Shui Bing's body quickly lit up. A loud and clear cry, like a real phoenix cry. Shui Bing opened her mouth, and from the surrounding azure cloud, she directly spat out countless icicles. These icicles were not aimed at Wang Feng, but at the stage below. These icicles looked small, but once they landed on the ground, they would quickly form incomparably thick ice crystals. And if they landed on the body of a soul master, coupled with the current blizzard environment, they would also quickly freeze and even be difficult to resist. Third soul skill, World of Ice and Snow. It was a true crowd control skill, and at the same time, it had the effect of changing the terrain. It was the most important part of an ice and snow environment. This kind of soul skill was very rare. Wang Feng concluded that if it wasn't for a mutated martial soul, there would never be such a powerful soul skill. Blizzard, snowflakes, and ice. The temperature of the stage dropped rapidly, and the brilliant ice crystal ground seemed to be able to reflect the entire body of a soul master. There were even some small icebergs around as the ice crystals formed. Wang Feng's body was also wrapped by those icicles, and his black robe seemed to be covered with a layer of ice armor. However, it was quickly shattered by Wang Feng. This ice crystal ground was incomparably hard and smooth. Ordinary soul masters, even agility-type soul masters, would find it difficult to move agilely on it. It covered the entire stage and was impossible to destroy. Xiao Wu had previously said that even her agility was greatly hindered on this ice crystal ground, let alone the soul masters. Even if they could stand stably, their speed would be greatly reduced, and it would be difficult for them to control their body's direction. That day, Zhu Zhuqing had used this method to make the 7 people from the Elephant Armor sect unable to stand up and could only passively take a beating. However, that was only possible because the few Zhu Zhuqing had the ability to control ice and fire. And now, the people from Skywater Academy could do the same. Apart from the terrain, the environment was also changing. In a chapter, Chapter 364. At that time, we suffered a great loss in this kind of terrain. On the spectator stand, Dai Mubai sighed and said, and the opponent's agility is even stronger. At that time, I used my claws to attack the ice crystal ground, but it was difficult to destroy it. I could only leave traces. In the end, I had to remember to grow tiger fingers on my feet to barely stand up on it. After Dai Mubai's martial soul possessed his body, his entire body had changed. Normally, he would not move his feet, and his hands would form tiger palms. In yesterday's match, he changed at the last minute and grew tiger fingers under his feet. He could barely stand on it, but fighting was too difficult, and his strength was imperceptibly weakened. In this kind of ice crystal terrain, the faster the speed, the harder it is to control. Xiao Wu nodded. They had suffered this kind of loss before. No matter how fast Jiu Kai is, in this kind of terrain, his agility will be greatly reduced, and he will be easily attacked. It will be difficult to dodge. The water coral grass especially grows in this kind of environment. Tang San frowned and said, moreover, the drop in temperature will affect the entire body and limbs, unless we use soul power to resist the cold. If that's the case, then every time we move, the consumption of soul power will increase by a bit. After a long battle, the consumption of soul power will be very terrifying. That's right, the human body found it difficult to adapt to an icy environment. It was just like the scorching heat. This kind of icy environment was not like the fiery hell, which was extremely aggressive. It was more like an environment that could cause you to die slowly. Tang San himself was still fine. He was immune to water and fire, and was immune to high temperature and cold. For example, Tai Long, a vigor gorilla martial soul, could not even move in this kind of environment, let alone the other party's iceal skill. When those snowflakes fell on the body, once accumulated, it could freeze a soul master. Look, Jiu Kai's agility, his speed, doesn't seem to be affected at all. Instead, why does it feel like he's stronger? At this moment, Ma Hongjuan's surprised voice sounded. Everyone was stunned and immediately looked over on the stage. The Skywater Academy cooperated with each other very well. First, they used Yulong's Diamond Water Shell Martial Soul to set up a defense. Then, they used the Hexagonal Starfish Martial Soul to lock onto Jiu Ikai from a distance and restrain him. At the same time, Shui Wu and Shui Bing used their soul skills to create a special ice and snow environment, as well as an ice crystal terrain. In this kind of terrain and environment, the abilities of the 7 of them would be enhanced. This meant that they could all sound the horn to attack. Shui Yu and Han Yin the 2 close combat soul warriors, immediately activated their martial souls and rushed out of the light barrier. Countless water coral grass sprouted from the ice crystal ground. The thorny water coral grass emitted a cold light and attacked Jioi Kai. Shui Yu's martial spirit was the cold water puffer fish. After the martial spirit possessed her body, special fins grew from her feet and her back. These fins allowed her to move freely in this environment, and her speed would double. Similarly, Han Yin's martial soul was the ice shark, a water-type martial soul with extremely powerful attacks. Both of their speeds had received a huge boost. Furthermore, after the martial spirit possession, there would be a thin layer of film on the surface of their skin, which would prevent their bodies from being affected by the cold. This was the huge advantage brought about by the terrain. Under such an advantage, their own attributes would be enhanced, while the enemy's attributes would be reduced. With the 2 added together, their strength would be increased by at least a few levels. Previously, it was Shui Yu who was able to restrain the level 45 Dai Mubai by herself. Both of them were 4 levels apart, and there was a huge gap in their martial souls. However, Shui Yu was able to restrain Dai Mubai. This showed the influence of the terrain and environment. At this moment, Jioi Kai's body suddenly shook. He who was standing on the ice crystal ground seemed to have suddenly risen by a few centimeters. Following that, he moved again. This time, his speed was even faster than before. Shui Yu and Han Yin who had just attacked, were stunned. If they had this kind of speed, it would be difficult for them to maintain their footing in the ice crystal terrain. At that time, they might even rush out of the arena. He watched as Jioi Kai attacked him like a phantom. Scatter. The 2 of them quickly separated, allowing Jioi Kai to brush past them. But at this moment, Jioi Kai's feet changed direction, and with a quick reverse, he strangely turned around and sent Han Yin flying with a punch. This rapid reversal stunned everyone, because it was impossible to reverse at such a speed on the ice crystal ground. Even Shui Yu and Han Yin couldn't do it. Look, Jioi Kai seems to have something under his feet. He isn't standing on the terrain. Inside the water screen formed by the diamond water shell, Yulong, Mo Ling, Shui Wu, and Hai Sha pointed at Jioi Kai and exclaimed. Jioi Kai wasn't standing on the ice crystal ground. To be precise, there was a sharp blade under his feet, and it was embedded in the ice crystal ground. The ice crystal ground had a mark on it, and it was quickly repaired by the falling snowflakes. It could be seen that the ice crystal ground had the ability to repair itself, although it wasn't fast. Jioi Kai stood steadily on the ice crystal ground, looking at Han Yin, who was sent flying by his punch. This is Shui Yu was stunned. Looking at the blade under Jioi Kai's feet, she said, his speed and agility didn't decrease at all. Instead, his speed increased. Could it be this thing? Could it be formed by his soul bone again? It can move so nimbly on the ice crystal ground? Yes. It was impossible for Wang Feng to maintain a high speed on the slippery ice crystal floor while maintaining the same high level of agility at the same time. But he could do it with the mysterious underworld spike. He could use the mysterious underworld spike to form a thick blade under his feet and a thin blade on the other side, forming a special speed skating blade. A simple change in the form of the mysterious underworld spike could instantly reverse his disadvantage. With his current control of his body, using the mysterious underworld spike to form an ice blade under his feet, he could move even faster on the ice crystal ground. When changing directions, he could use the mysterious underworld spike to quickly change its form, instantly braking and reversing. The punch just now had caught Han Yin'er off guard and sent her flying. Ice skating, huh? With my current physical fitness, I might be better at it than you guys. Wang Feng laughed to himself. Furthermore, The speed skating blade under his feet could change its form at any time, making him even more agile. Even when moving, Wang Feng didn't need to use his soul power to control the ice blade under his feet. He could just use his feet to control it. This ice crystal ground was no disadvantage to him. It could be said that Wang Feng had fully developed the ability of the mysterious underworld spike. Furthermore, this level of ice didn't affect Wang Feng too much. He only felt a little cold in his head, but it didn't affect him at all. His limbs weren't affected by the ice at all. Han Yin was sent flying out of the stage. At this moment, the rest of the people reacted. End of chapter. Chapter 365. Shui Yuer was a little flustered. How could 9 Ikai's speed increase in this terrain? He didn't have a water-type martial soul, nor was he possessed by a martial soul. How could he be completely unaffected in the terrain they were so proud of? How could he be faster, more agile? Seeing Ji Kai rushing towards her at an even faster speed, Shui Yuer's speed couldn't compare at all. She started to panic. Just as 9 Ikai was about to catch up to Shui Yuer, layers of ice quickly condensed on Wang Feng's feet. Countless water coral grass also grew rapidly on the ground, wrapping around Wang Feng's feet and spreading rapidly. It was Shui Yuer's instantaneous freeze soul skill. It was only her second soul skill. Although it was only a single target control soul skill, it was very terrifying. Tang San was flustered by Shui Yuer's freeze soul skill. However, it only froze Wang Feng's feet. The water coral grass that grew from the ice crystal ground only wrapped around Wang Feng's feet. With his feet bound, the inertia brought about by his great speed caused Wang Feng's upper body to fall to the ground in an instant. It was also at this time that the hexagonal starfish in the distance attacked Wang Feng like a missile. Because Wang Feng's speed was too fast, even if the aqua burst starfish locked onto him, they couldn't hit him. However, the moment Wang Feng was sealed by the water, coral grass, and ice, the aqua burst starfish attacked at the same time. Clearly, Skywater Academy's cooperation was very tacit. However, the moment he fell to the ground, Wang Feng used one hand to support himself on the ground. Using one hand as an axis, he turned his body 360 degrees. Using one hand as leverage, he jumped in another direction, shattering the ice on his body at the same time. While avoiding falling to the ground, he also avoided the explosion range of the aqua burst starfish. When these aqua burst starfish exploded, it would also produce countless icicles. In addition to the power of the explosion, it would also turn soul masters who were hit into ice sculptures. In an ordinary environment, the aqua burst starfish wouldn't have an ice sculpture effect. When it exploded, it would produce mist, but in an icy environment like this, the mist would instantly condense into icicles. This was the enhancement brought about by the environmental effect. The water coral grass was the same. Moreover, the water coral grass was a special grass that only grew in icy environments. In an ordinary environment, it was very weak and not very tough, about the same as blue silver grass. But in an icy environment, its toughness would be greatly increased. Once it wrapped around the enemy, the mist on the grass would cover the enemy, freezing them, and also had the effect of soaking them. Similarly, the defensive water curtain formed by the diamond water shell had a huge effect. In an icy environment, the water coral grass, the defensive power's defensive power. Even if Dai Mubai used all his strength, he might not be able to break it. This showed how important this icy environment was for Skywater Academy. Ikai's S. Ikai. Normally, water and fire would restrain each other, and the key was which side had more soul force. Since Skywater Academy's soul power was high, they could prevent the other party's Inferno from burning. However, it was clear that even if Shui Bing in fight, her substitute rank 43 control-type Soul Master would still be able to lead the Skywater Academy to defeat the Blazing Academy. If she took the field, it would be a crushing defeat. And if they were to go against the God Wind Academy, they would have a high chance of winning with her on the field. Under the combined attack of the three, Wang Feng didn't manage to hit Shui Yu'er. Although he could use the mysterious underworld spike to form a speed skating blade and not be affected by the terrain, his opponent's strength had increased too much. The terrain was no longer a disadvantage for him. But for Skywater Academy, it was still an advantage. Whether it was the hexagonal starfish or the water coral grass, they were both long-range attacks and long-range control. Coupled with Shui Yu'er in the air, it was impossible to guard against them. They're really strong. Wang Fengxin's heart trembled. Moreover, he hadn't seen the other party's body fusion yet. At this time, Wang Feng, who had just stood up, had countless water coral grass sprout from the ice crystal ground to bind him. Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a cold light. He jumped lightly, and the ice blade under his feet was like a sharp blade, directly cutting the countless water coral grass into pieces. Then he gracefully landed on the ground. The speed skating blade under his feet didn't just allow him to form on the ice crystal terrain. It was also a special kind of weapon. However, the cooperation of these 6 people was too good. It was a waste of time to be restrained like this. Boom, boom, boom. Another series of hydroblast starfish exploded around Wang Feng. While Wang Feng dodged, countless water coral grass were cut into pieces. In this environment, Shui Yu'er's ice seal seemed to appear all over Wang Feng's limbs at all times. Although it would be shattered by Wang Feng soon, Shui Yu didn't want to completely freeze Wang Feng because she knew it was too late. The powerful reaction of 91 open could at most make her ice seal cover one part of his body, and then he would quickly shatter the ice. But this would still cause Wang Feng a lot of trouble. Under this restraint, even if Wang Feng's speed was several times faster than Shui Yu'er's, he couldn't completely catch her. If he attacked the diamond water shellfish, Wang Feng wouldn't be able to break the enhanced sky blue ice shield, even if he used charge. The main thing was that the hydroblast starfish and water coral grass would restrict him along the way, slowing down his speed or his momentum. Coupled with Shui Yu'er's ice seal, the impact would be very small by the time he hit the water shield. After the impact was small, the advantage of the mysterious underworld armor's 6 tons of weight couldn't be used. It could only be said to be shaking, but it was very difficult to break through the person attacking it. After trying once, Wang Feng gave up. The other party came prepared. Wang Fengxin thought to himself, when he hit at high speed, the weight of the mysterious underworld spike would be revealed, and it could cause terrifying damage. But the opponent obviously knew about it and had analyzed it. The strategy that Wang Feng had prepared for Skywater Academy was completely disrupted because of Shui Yu'er's appearance, and it would be difficult for it to be effective. He's a strong opponent, but after another round of attacks, Wang Feng stood in a corner of the terrain as if he wanted to rest. His opponent seemed to have expended a lot of energy from using so many soul skills and stopped attacking. Suddenly, both sides were in a state of anxiety. Everyone was shocked to the core, and they were all silent. No one knew what both sides were going to do next. The ice and snow environment that Skywater Academy was so proud of didn't affect 91 Open at all. He used the special tool under his feet to turn the situation into an advantage. But the ice and snow environment still boosted Skywater Academy's strength. End of chapter. Chapter 366. If it were us, we would have lost by now, right? Many academies watched this scene and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. The special tool under Jiao Ikai's feet should be formed from his soul bone. He's really smart, very smart. Ma Hongjun stared closely. However, he can only be said to be unaffected by the icy environment. However, Skywater Academy's improvement in the icy environment is huge. This is something he can't change. Whether it's the diamond water shellfish, the hexagonal starfish, or the water coral grass, they all have a huge improvement. Coupled with Shui Bing, Er's harassment in the air, it's really hard to deal with. If this continues, the odds of losing will only be 9-1. Skywater Academy is really strong. Skywater Academy, with Shui Bing, was indeed very strong. This situation is really hard to break. Dai Mubai murmured, only by breaking through this icy environment and terrain can we have a chance of winning. Otherwise, there's no chance of winning at all. Everyone nodded. They were naturally aware of this point. As long as they could break through this icy environment and terrain, the strength of their opponents would be greatly reduced. However, trying to break through this kind of terrain was simply a fantasy story. Even if the terrain and environment are broken, this Shui Bing is not simple. Tang San frowned. When we fought with her in the previous round, she didn't even use her fourth soul skill. Furthermore, in the clouds, I could faintly see that her fourth soul ring seemed to be black. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. At this moment, Wang Feng also moved. However, he didn't attack the light screen formed by the diamond water shellfish. Instead, the black light in his hand condensed and directly formed a pitch-black bow. Immediately after, Wang Feng quickly pulled the bow into a full moon shape. A long arrow suddenly condensed and was aimed at Shui Bing in the green clouds in the air. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air suddenly rang out. The moment the arrow was released, Wang Feng took a deep breath and concealed his mysterious underworld armor, making his body extremely light. Everyone's pupils shrank slightly when they saw this. Was Jiu Ikai finally going to use this special attack to attack Shui Bing again? Shui Bing was the backbone of Skywater Academy. Once she was hit, the rest of them wouldn't be able to fight. However, it was difficult to attack Shui Bing because she was at least 50 meters in the air. Without the ability to fly, it was impossible for ordinary soul masters to reach such a high altitude. But at this time, if 9-1 Kai used the same move against the enemy in the air, would it be effective? Almost at the same time, when Wang Feng condensed the black bow, Shui Bing eyes flashed with light. How could she have fallen for it? Even if the opponent's arrow could change direction, it would not be able to hit her. She had studied the battle between Jiu Yi and the Divine Wind Battle team. How could they follow in Feng Xiaoyan's footsteps? After she was fully prepared, she stared at the arrow with rapt attention. But when the arrow turned into a wisp of black light and rushed into the air, she was slightly stunned, because she saw that when the arrow was shot, a rope on the barb on the back of the arrow suddenly stretched taut. Immediately after, Jiu Ikai's entire body was pulled by the rope like a willow leaf. He suddenly disappeared from where he was and flew directly into the clouds along with the arrow. Didn't he want to use arrows to attack me? Instead, he wants to borrow the strength of the arrows to fly into the sky. Shui Bing was a little confused. But even if you are in the sky, you can't change your body's shape. How can you attack me? She could fly in the air and change her position. She immediately flew to the other side and did not get close to Jiu Ikai. At this time, the arrow was already more than 50 meters high and was still rising. It was only when it was more than 100 meters high that the force of the arrow disappeared. After shooting the arrow, Wang Feng instantly hid his mysterious underworld armor and breathed in and out to reduce his weight. Although he did not really turn into a willow leaf, but under the powerful force of the arrow, he was quickly pulled into the air by the rope. After the force of the arrow disappeared, Wang Feng was only 70 meters high. Only then did he stop. At the moment when Wang Feng stopped in midair, Wang Feng's entire body was bent like a bow. His arms were raised to the back, and he was in a projectile position. A few short spears that were 1 meter long were quickly formed in his hands. Boom! Wang Feng used the moment when he stopped in midair to throw the short spears in his hands towards the ground. Everyone looked at him blankly. They did not understand what Jiu Ikai was trying to do. These 6 pitch-black spears were thrown from the sky by Wang Feng using all his strength. When he threw them, his entire body formed a U shape. One could imagine how powerful they were. They were like 6 pitch-black meteors that fell on the ice crystal ground. Boom! Boom! With Wang Feng's strength, each of his swords pierced through the ice crystal ground almost instantaneously, leaving behind countless cracks. One of the spears directly hit the sky-blue ice shield formed by the diamond water shell martial spirit. Under such a terrifying force, the ice shield was directly penetrated. Seeing this, Shui Bing, Er's expression changed. She finally knew what Jiu Kai was trying to do. On the ground, because of the ice crystal terrain and the influence of the ice and snow environment, the remaining 5 people could do all kinds of restraints to prevent Jiu Ikai from completely breaking through the ice shield of the remaining 4 people. But in midair, there was no way to restrain him. But why did he throw 6 spears? Shui Bing was suspicious. She subconsciously looked at the position of the spears on the ground. They were scattered all over the ice crystal arena. Because the force was too great, no matter how tough the ice ground was, the mysterious underworld spike spear, which was shot down for nearly 100 meters in the air, easily pierced through it. The enormous force even caused countless cracks to appear in the ice crystal spiderweb in the surroundings. The 5 spears caused the cracks to almost cover the entire ice crystal arena. Is he trying to destroy the terrain? Defeat all the members in the arena in an instant? But it doesn't seem to be enough to completely destroy. Shui Bing was so shocked that her scalp went numb. She subconsciously looked at Wang Feng in midair and realized, at this moment, Wang Feng was falling rapidly, and he was falling at an extremely terrifying speed. His position was in the center of the ice crystal ground. Oh no! Shui Bing's mind went blank. It was like a black meteorite falling to the ground. Wang Feng landed on the ground with his back, including the Xinming armor. He still had more than 5 tons of weight left. Boom! The ice crystal arena, which originally had countless cracks, exploded into a huge cloud of fog. It shattered in an instant. The ice crystals were smashed down by the huge force. The icicles formed by the shattering shot out in all directions like bullets. The 5 members in the arena felt like an earthquake. They were instantly hit by the shattered icicles on the ice crystal ground. The ice crystal arena exploded, and the ice shield left. A huge cloud of cold fog rose from Wang Feng's position into the air. It disrupted all the snowflakes and cold air. After a long, long time, the cold fog dissipated, and the 5 members of the team were all lying on the broken stage, scattered all over the place. They were all injured. Only Jiu Kai was left in the center. His torn black robe fluttered slowly with the remaining cold fog. He raised his head and didn't seem to be seriously injured. He quietly looked at Shui Bing, who was in midair. In an instant, the entire arena was dead silent. The situation was reversed in an instant. The ice crystals exploded and shattered. The icicles that shot out directly caused the 5 members in the arena to lose their ability to fight. When the ice and snow environment and terrain were destroyed, Shui Bing was the only one left in Sky Water Academy. Countless people watched this scene with their mouths wide open. They didn't expect Jiu Kai to use this method to break the situation. There will be more at night. In a chapter that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.